I do VR and impressions that get me banned from VR games.
Nice.
There are no lies here. Are we doing intros or are we just gonna roll into it? You already know what the fuck it is. It's your boy. What's going on? Ain't seen y'all in forever because I've never been on one of these. This is my first, so I'm glad to be here. Appreciate Balance for lobbing your boy the link, waking me up out of my slumber. Um, I hope today goes extremely well because this is one of the most important streams someone could have on any platform because mental health plagues us all, whether we want to admit it or not. And whether we let it affect us, in different ways, or whether we realize where it's affecting us in different ways, it's always good to talk about it, discuss, and we have people that are genuinely respectable human beings, even Mark. You can have and make a lot of good progress. You know what I'm saying? Chopping it up with your friends on a regular basis. So try to get out, talk to people that's like minded. Try to talk to people that's not like minded. Just so you can be a well rounded person at the end of the day. And that's it for me.
Yeah, what he said.
See what I mean?
Yeah, I'm Sage, and I've been in the community for a little while now. I've been very honest and open about my mental health from the get-go. So a lot of people know my dark anime backstory, which is quite amusing. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm also baked as a motherfucker, but the gist of it is that everyone has a high, everyone has a low. Mental health is just about where on the spectrum you particularly fall, where regularly you fall there, what affects you to fall in those places. It's a real routine and like math and science, and people really need to respect it as that as well, because like you really can fundamentally understand your own mental health and what helps you compared to other people, and what routines and rituals are suitable for you and which aren't. And it's so important to find what works for you and your vibe.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, uh, well, when it comes to mental health, I am very mentally on that. That's the best I got for that.
All I gotta say about
I,
that.
I mean, the best I've got is I used to do stand-up comedy for a bit, jumping from open mic night to open mic night, just seeing different people and realizing how everybody's different in their own little quirks, the way they act, and just it kind of puts my life into perspective, seeing how other people have suffered when really the most mental trauma I can remember is my parents not buying me something from the store. I know I come from a very tragic background.
How'd you
They
make it,
will
bro?
write
Crash.
anime characters are now going to be fucking based off me, so you all might as well just quit your fame and fortune right now.
Oh, nah, but like, don't be like that, because all I'm saying is everyone's got their struggle, and just because yours isn't a fingerprint of everyone else's that you would classically define as struggle doesn't make it less valid.
I know, but
Everything's relative, so yeah, I feel it.
Well,
Couple silver medals. Hey man, you just said he didn't get his fucking Power Ranger, so you losing the toenail, same level, bro. Same level.
Don't.
my 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 biggest issue is I the stuff that you said about getting shot, stabbed, whatever. I've minimized my history of violence where I was brought up to it never happened. It's insignificant. my biggest issues now is not getting to see my daughter, and that's caused me a lot of anguish, shall we say. That's the biggest concern for me.
Right.
So,
And that's a
Yeah.
struggle, man. No one can deny that, man.
well, the mum has played that isolation card like you wouldn't believe. Oh, we can't have you come round. You can't see her. You can't do nothing. So that's why I said to you, Valen, this Zoom is going to be my lifeline speaking to her for the next couple of months.
Yeah, it's crazy that how Hunter pretty much compartmentalized the fact that he was in a whole bunch of shit, and to him, you know what
It's
I'm saying,
normality.
if he was shot, if he was stabbed, if he was went through a whole bunch of physical stuff that just was revolving around him, he in his mind kind of lowered all that on a mental scale and be like, I have things that I consider more important or more painful than what other people would consider painful. So even if you got shot and you don't consider that the worst thing in your life, the thing that you do consider, like not seeing your daughter, someone like me who has no children, probably can't even wrap their mind around it, because it's like, bro, I'm being shot because it's like I'm a self-centered person at a lot of points in my life. So imagine someone else's pain being more than my pain, which is, you know what I'm saying, that's like kind of what it is to be a parent in a way, and that's it's kind of dope. You know, you can
It's
put others
that
before yourself in that way.
yeah, that is hard because I see people that like my friend who lives around the corner. She's got 4 children and she's desperate for the father to pay attention to her kids. And then
Mm-hmm.
she says she looks at me and says, why can't all dads be like that, wanting to be there? And I'm like, listen, I said, we're all built differently. I said, fortunately, it is what it is. Like you said, I have that's my issue. I have an issue with, like you said, compartmentalizing things. I minimalize things to the point of it ain't going to phase me. But
Yeah.
when my mum passed away, that was the biggest kick in my nuts. From that emotional rule that I had built up for so many years of holding everything behind it,
Mm-hmm.
she died, and then suddenly that wall was gone. Everything was out. Fuck it,
Yeah.
floodgates a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people don't
But
go through the whole
it got,
process.
bro. It got to the point where, because I went on this program, like caring fathers program, whatever, because the court said I need to complete a program, just show that I've done this, done that, and facilitate what they're asking. I did all that, and I did this thing with my ex. Bro, this wall, like I said, that dropped down. It actually had me to the point of, man, I wrote a 3 or 4 page letter to my ex partner
Mm.
about what constituted of what may have been domestic abuse. Like I was verbally abusive towards her, mentally stressing her out, putting
Yeah.
her down, saying things that may have not been appropriate. That to me, like I said, minimalization was nothing. I just pushed it to the back burner, didn't really pay it no mind, like it was nothing. But
Yeah.
this program has made me think, shit, what a twat.
Yeah, man. Because when you compartmentalize things, you're packing away for later. It's not like you're putting it in a permanent time capsule. You're supposed to put it away to deal with stuff in front of you. Then you unpack it and talk to other people, or just work it out in your own mind. But if you just
Or
leave it there, that shit will fester. It'll come out in other ways, and people think you can just keep stuff locked up forever. And like you said, when your mom died, it was like your mind was like, all right, bro, I gave you like 20, 30 some years, man. You ain't dealt with this. It's all coming out now. Fuck it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
it
feel
really was. Well,
I like to
that.
think of it as you're putting a bunch of stuff into Tupperware lids, and as you're going through them, they fall out and open up, and then just
Yeah.
mm,
everything comes out in the worst way, and you can
yeah,
really just
it,
sit
it,
there and either,
yeah, yeah.
try to scoop it all back in there and just say fuck.
It was
Yeah,
kind of
man.
like
Let
that,
me
you know,
actually
because like I said,
organize this now.
I wrote a 3 page letter of like, if you'd like, it's an apology letter for all the stuff that may have happened that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay it no mind. That's my bad. But on the same sort of flip side, she said that she was struggling with mental health situations that she couldn't deal with as well. So in my most recent letters from the courts, they're going to make it so she gets to be assessed by professionals to see how she's doing and coping as well. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm okay knowing that she's going to get some sort of help now because the courts are going to order it for her as well because she's not getting nowhere with her doctors.
Right. It's always
So
good to
I'm
have
sort of
good
like,
checkup.
it's cool. It's good to know that they're going to do their part for her. I may say she's a bad whatever, but it's not for my place to say if she's struggling with something mentally draining for her, then she can get the help she needs too.
Yeah,
So
man. You can be bad for a little bit as long as you seek out help to get back in that good place. You know, that's always progress and a good thing.
I did go to a psychologist and everything to get sort of do my own sort of assessment, and they said, other than your OCD playing on your mind a lot with regards to your daughter, you're kind of like in a good safe bracket. So I had to get that letter for court as well to show that. So don't know, man.
Valen, how do you feel about like therapists and going to therapy and like professional people that does mental shit? I always wondered. Like this man asked a good question. There we go.
Yeah, here we go. Spill it out to us. Tell us how you really feel.
Mm. Yeah. It's like you can tell you can't really tell your child is growing up when they're little and other people can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Captain, I'm like
Sorry.
sorry to interrupt you, but your people on YouTube can't hear you.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I was
The
really?
girl,
thinking.
the girl I've been flirting with just let me know through text message that they can't hear you. I had to go. I had to go and check your
Nice.
stream myself.
Maudie getting some trim. All right.
No, but I've
Dang
totally
it.
done that
Ev-
before, and the douche was
everyone
here,
tell
and it was
Allie
a mental
thank
health
you, and
stream as
she's
well, and that's
beautiful. Allie,
hilarious.
you're beautiful.
Who can they not hear? Is it only Valen, or is it all of us?
Yeah. Is it just Valen or is it all of us?
No, it's just Captain apparently.
Okay, cool. Just to like, because you never know what that is, like, kind of thing. Like that's all deer territory.
Yo. I'd be
Hello?
so mad. Valen was going in and he can't hear half of that. That's tough.
So they just had a few minutes there of us agreeing to air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Feel you.
Yes.
Yes.
How does it sound now?
Mobile.
I'm watching him on the YouTube, and he looks so confused. It's so funny.
That's so funny.
A quick distraction.
All right, this is.
I can say it.
All right, I'll take a step away, and this works. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Now you can hear me. Let me see. I gotta move myself, which means I gotta move my camera some. Hope y'all
Yep, they can hear you again.
stay with me.
Oh, that's good.
Yay! But there is an echo.
Oh,
Funky
no.
butt loving.
Man, good with the bad, bro. Yeah. Well, while he's doing that, say I did not get a chance to hear your wonderful anime dark background. She was speaking of earlier.
Oh, sweet lord. Okay.
I never crossed that bridge.
All right, is this better? No, but there's an echo. All right, no echo, but you're better. I think I'm a little louder than everybody else, but there isn't the
Okay.
most I
Close
can
to
do
me.
about that right
Hey, as
now.
long as it works.
I'm being like just whited out by my light. Let me see if I can look like a goddamn 1920s ghost.
Why did I lie?
So go on, we're gonna get Sage's story to Vulture because he doesn't know it.
Oh,
I'm gonna need that.
well,
All right, what was I talking
where
about?
do you want me to start? Yeah, because Fallon was talking.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
What was I? Oh, the
You
You
question
talking about
was.
the psychiatrist?
Yeah,
How do
the
you feel about
psychiatrist.
psychiatrists?
All right.
Cool.
I
Can I
kind
do
of
the
went in,
segment
but I'm
after
gonna
that?
TLDR it. If you can maintain a relationship with somebody and have that therapist relationship, obviously with the boundaries included in that and everything, then that can be an incredibly healthy and an open spirit and experience for you to grow as a person. However, there is a lot of shuffle that happens. Well, I can't do this because of this reason, so I'm gonna recommend this person to you. He's really great. They're wonderful. Da 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 da. But all the person in that chair is hearing is super dope. I'm just another stranger to talk to. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm not gonna do that. I'll speak for myself, but that's just how I felt about it. And my tie looks janky right now. Okay, don't focus. Um,
I guess it's hard to kind of find, when you're already going through something, when something like that, because sometimes I feel like whenever you're hurting, you get just a swidge more self-centered. I know that sounds bad because you know what I'm saying it's about you, so you should definitely feel that you take care of yourself. And then I always put some kind of weird happy spin on it. So I feel where you coming from, Balance. Whereas it's like if you were just looking at it from the tunnel that is you, that could be like a bad way to look at it. But like you said before, like you understood that people got stuff to do and people got whole different lives. But then it's like when you're kind of paying to kind of get that feeling of all right, it's all about you, and you're not getting that, then it could just kind of be like, man, fuck this nigga. So
yeah,
I feel.
I mean,
Sorry.
and,
You were so eloquent, and then all at the end it was that, and it was so
Yeah.
comical. It was beautiful. I
Yo.
applaud you for your language right now. That was mwah,
everybody hit him with a
magnifique.
salute.
I do
He
what
does
I
put a
do.
bit of spice on the end of it, doesn't he?
No, but
Just a
like
little
I
bit
enjoy
spicy.
people that can thoroughly explain an emotion in words. And that is
Yeah.
thoroughly explaining an emotion in words. So what the fuck? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
it is. Honestly, people don't understand how big a thing like that is. Being able to explain an emotion with words, like beyond just angry, sad, happy. You know what I mean? And
Like
that's
a real feeling, oh yeah, I relate. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
That's
Language.
that program I was doing had me busting out sentences that I never thought was even in there, trying to explain exactly what my process was, and I thought like, I kept saying afterwards like, "Am I even getting it right?" They were like, "Yeah, you are kinda," and I was like, oh, "Okay."
Yeah,
All right.
man. It's like you
Might
take a
as
little
well.
bit of yourself and then you try to actually be thoughtful about the words you're saying because you realize other people are hearing you. I feel like when a lot of people talk, they don't realize other people are going to hear what they're saying and they don't
I
take
think
that
when
into
you're using
account.
text
all
talk,
right.
innit? They just
Really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're all adults here, so we need to look in the chat and give Allie and Ash a big old ooh.
Thank
Oh, no,
you.
what's happened?
I've been trying to embarrass her.
I
getting
think
hot
that
and
needs to
steamy.
happen. They're being adorables in the chat, and it needs to. And a
Oh.
big old thank you to Ellie for letting everybody
she
know
just
in the
said that
chat in general.
she's not important. Tell her,
She's-
Ali, listen, you're always
she's
important.
very
Vulture,
important.
you're the worst.
Hey, man. We gotta
Well,
get
yeah.
to the
Thank you
facts
for
here.
showing up and being a part of this.
Jesus Christ.
I think Ali needs to sort of skip past Ash. He's a bit of a waste man here.
Oh, waste man. That's
All right.
hilarious.
So
better.
while on
Well,
this little
I
non
do have a
sequitur,
funny story about her because she made the mistake of calling me through all the speakers of her car while she was getting gas at the gas station, and she's just, I'm gonna be right back, and she shut the door, and I went, you have activated your Skeletor alarm system.
Oh,
Apparently people in the
no.
gas station started turning and looking, and I went on for a bit, then I heard the door open, and sweetie, I'm turning you down. People
Yeah.
are staring.
He-Man, bro. I love
That's-
Skeletor.
that's-
You may have silenced me now.
I like
One
it.
second.
I like it a lot.
let me
I
get.
think Ash is a different kind of mental, but that's special.
Yeah, damn right. We need sides of the.
You a special kind of mental.
Oh no.
Man, the
Oh
impressions.
no, because there's probably men that are gonna say that to me at some point in my life.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
that's probably the
there is
unfortunate
a.
part.
You know what? Really quick, there is a topic because you said you have a limited amount of time, Sage. So I want to
Oi.
specifically get
Go for it.
females' opinion on this because I've spoken to one, and one is not everyone. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
I was hoping to get Allie in here, but she's got life and kids and such. So,
You like that
No, fair.
sometimes.
but I was talking with another friend of mine, and she said she's kind of a little scared to go out after quarantine because
Yeah, man, she should be.
Oh no.
I'm just let me explain her reason. She
Mhm.
sees how I'll use her words, how thirsty these not all of her words. These people are.
Oh, it's getting horrific. It's
Yeah.
getting horrific.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and she's
the
worried
thirst
that
of the death.
the rise in OnlyFans and e-thoughts and things like that are going to reinforce the equation of like money equals sex, and therefore there's going to be a rise in assaults of obviously like horrible nature.
To be fair, all the people that are giving money to the OnlyFans, all she has to do is keep up a brisk pace, and she will be ahead of all of them.
A brisk pace.
I mean,
Yo,
they're all going to be coming out and just sunlight.
so we not gonna take into account that money partially does buy sex? We just gonna skip over that?
No, okay, it's
Because you gotta
the
spend money to
interactions
make
that
money.
happen that correlate into capitalism are more a measure of the system that we live in than the correlation between the individual and sex.
But the
I
society we do live in,
don't
we do accept
think-
that partially.
Let's say
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Sage. My bad.
I don't think, at least for what you're just talking about then, money equals sex is necessarily the best math.
Not equal.
As
That's what I was trying to say. It's a part.
Is there's a spectrum of what you have to hit to be able to date these days,
You got checklists.
which is a
hell yeah.
bizarre. No, it's not even a fucking checklist. It's more like
It's a
bingo these
checklist.
fucking days, and you ain't got a fucking clue who the numbers are.
You
Like they're
just
all
hitting
in
your fucking
Klingon,
card.
and they're calling it out in Klingon, and you're
Yeah.
looking at the bingo card in Klingon.
Yo,
So
and
like, I'm
Klingon.
sorry,
Preach,
but
sister.
it would be
Oh, goodness.
horrific for me.
Woo, child.
No, but if it was in at least like a vaguely humanish language,
Mm.
like I like to think I'd be like, okay, even in an anime, I think I've seen that letter before. That's Japanese. Here we go, lads.
I feel
Like,
that.
you know what you mean? Like,
Oh yeah, no, I get it. It's sometimes you have no idea. Valance says it all the time. There's known knowns and known unknowns, and a lot of that revolves like it percolates a lot within the dating community because so many people are brought up in so many ways and value so many different things. You know what I mean? Because you got people that's like, if you don't open up my car door and buy me a steak, what the fuck are we even doing here? And there's people who have a picnic in the middle of a dusty field and be cool with that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you got to pick your poison, but all the labels are ripped off and they're all colorless. So it's like, fuck.
Is it
Like,
How do I pick
yeah,
my
literally, what the fuck?
Yeah, man.
I have a really interesting tactic that I don't want to share, but
I feel that.
Gotta keep them secrets, girl. I get it.
oh
Leave
hell
everybody in
yeah.
suspense.
So Sage, if you
I know
were
the rough area where Sage is. She doesn't give out too much information, you see.
right, I don't want those issues.
It's not that I don't give information, it's that like you have to ask. And the reason you have to ask is because some of it's dark. And if it's dark, I don't want to put you in that place unless you ask for it.
Gotcha. We've had back and forth messages a while ago, so
You know about their life.
All right.
Then you probably know I've had some shite happen to me.
we've had a lot of back and forth a while back. So yeah, that's why I said I'm not going to tell anyone your story because that's your story.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
I
and you
feel
know I'm
you.
the same. So it's like,
I just want Valen to get all his questions pertaining to you before you go. So before I
Yeah.
just start, because I can talk. So go ahead, Valen.
All right.
oh,
But how do you feel that? And she also said that, well, again, not exact wordage, but dudes were forceful enough before they were stuck indoors for 3 months or 2 months. You know
Here's
what
my
I mean?
thing. Like, I met someone the other day. Like, I'm gonna admit it. Like,
Look at you,
long
Sage.
story short, because what the fuck?
Oh, this was a bad encounter. I thought this was a happy time. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting
Um,
this to lead to.
Yeah,
like,
I had the
he was
fake
actually
No, no,
nice.
no,
No,
it's-
apparently we got
it's-
Jason Voorhees here about to come out.
Oh,
Yup.
all of my stories are problematic. So I just kind of went and I was like, I'll go to a park and it's a public place and there's nothing you can do. Oh, apparently I was wrong.
Social distancing.
Like, it's really problematic.
Oh,
So
my God.
like, at this point, I'm just at a point where I'm like, I'm gonna wait until it's over, but at the same point in time, I'm also gonna make sure I'm meeting the right person. So I'm gonna talk to them until it's over, which means that if we aren't solidly okay with each other, we never will be.
Facts.
Mm.
You know?
So okay. From what I'm hearing, the dude is. Oh my God.
I'm not meeting someone I haven't been talking to for plus 2 weeks anymore, like, because all of them are horrific. There's a lot of catfishes as well, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
people using weird accounts.
A lot of people have got time on their hands, you see, that's the problem, and they're just
Yeah.
And it's
Just
terrifying
killing
to
time.
that you can't even like make friends or try to be yourself without being in a dangerous and risky situation.
Oh,
Also,
literally,
big shout out to
literally.
JG Legend for showing up. Weird time to pop in
hey.
because we're talking stories, but
So it
glad to
is.
have you at any time at all.
Of course.
Cannon, baby.
Thanks for having me. What's up, guys?
You're
He was here for the first couple. He's gonna be here for this one. So happy to have
Shit, that was that loud.
yeah.
And we've lost
I'm
Safe for a
sorry,
few
Jake,
seconds.
I'm baked.
Let her clean
I'm
up.
absolutely baked.
What happened?
I said I'm
Finish the
baked, and then I fell over because I was laughing.
There we go.
No,
The second
Jake,
injury to
the
happen to
other
the Vagabond
day-
Army.
The other day, the
Jay
funniest
has
thing
that effect
happened
on
to
women.
me. Right, so there's this really cute guy that
What
had a
happened?
car in front of us, and I thought he was gonna go the other
One
way.
second, ladies and gentlemen.
So I looked at my flatmate and I was like, he was cute. And my flatmate said nothing. I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked behind me and he was right behind us. And
Oh
I
my
ran
God.
away. I just dipped.
Like, nope,
Yeah.
can't do it. I'm out.
Social distancing.
I literally said
Just
the
take
words,
off.
shit, he heard me, and just ran.
Hit him with the pocket sand and just take
That
off.
is such an anime moment, bro. That is like anime 101.
that is hilarious, bro.
My flatmate
Sage
just
is a
kept
lost
walking.
cause.
He didn't give a fuck. He was just like, yep, this is classic you.
Yep. That's funny, yo.
We got 3 proper blokes in here. You know what I'm saying? UK
So-
representation all up and through here. I like it.
But I
So-
don't know if you can.
Jay's a fake Brit, yeah.
Oh man, he's
I don't know if
100%
we
in
can
these streets.
necessarily say that the men are the problem though, given the story I've just told.
I'm just saying, just arguing against yourself here. but
No,
it's all
hey,
good.
That's
No,
that's
I'm
a fair because I mean, I guess my argument kind of dismissed women as sexual beings. You know what I mean? To like, and I didn't, you know, have the I guess I'll say gumption to like make that argument to her. You know, given the you know what she was saying at the time, and like she really felt strongly about it, and I was just like, yeah, that's rough. I kind of get it. I didn't even think, you know, women maybe they want the dick just as bad.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, yo, you don't.
I like the ego boost. Don't get me wrong, but the dick not so much.
Hey, shit, it's all part of the same pot. They are
Oh
part
my
of the same
God.
pie. You know what
From
I'm
the
saying?
peanut gallery, my wife is just like, truth. And I'm like, ow! Oh, God! My
You see what I'm
feelings.
saying?
Oh my god, I sound like my mum.
Man, we need to see the knife in your back, Captain. Oh my
Right?
god.
Can somebody pull that shit out?
Yo, this bus is mighty heavy. Help.
Right?
No,
Let
I'm
me run
joking.
under it.
Like, if we're gonna go there though, like there are times it's okay. It's just it's gotta be like someone that you don't hate. And like if it's not someone you don't hate, it's really horrible.
That's hard. I hate everyone.
Oh man,
Hate
you
is
gotta
so
give everybody
easy.
a chance, and you gotta realize that we're bargaining every day in society. You know, on smaller levels, micro levels, and macro levels. But people kind of want stuff for free, and they kind of want to be treated a certain way. And then that's how we got the like the what's it, the things that we profit off of. I can't think of the word now. Biases. You know, there's biases for like females, and there's biases for males, and we all kind of benefit off those, and we all kind of get hurt by them. You know what I mean?
Vulture, really quick. We got something in the chat I want to address. We got addicted to COD, Call of Duty. I'm gonna read this out loud. You put it in the thing. I'm gonna read your story for everybody. I hope that's okay. If it's not, you got about like 7 seconds to say something.
Tasty.
But hey guys, recently been broke up with from this girl because of petty arguments, which will happen. This quarantine has been killing relationships.
Really is, yes.
And she wants to be friends, and it's just and it just didn't work out for me, and we argued again because I just couldn't do that. Now she doesn't want to talk at all because in a way I have proved that she was right with the arguing, and I should leave her and should I leave her and start no contact?
So she's already broken up with him, and he's
Hold on.
trying to keep it together, or what?
I've got at least some personal experience in this field.
All right,
So
shoot it down, Mark.
it's addicted. 100%, dude. Just let it go. The more you hang on, the more it's going to hurt. I mean,
Big facts.
this was me with my high school sweetheart. Just we were on and off for so many years because we just refused to let go. But eventually, you're gonna spare yourself a lot of future pain if you just let go. Let her do her own thing. Because believe me, dude, it may not look like it right now. It may be hard, but believe me, further down the road, you're gonna be looking back and thinking, when did I fucking wear that?
Yo, Sage, real quick.
And
since you are
Yeah, sorry.
sorry, since you're the only card carrying holder of a vaginal canal here, I would just have a question. Do you or have you ever started arguments with a guy or just started shit with a guy just so you can kind of get away from him, just so you can make him kind of break up with you in a way?
God, no, I'm not a fucking psychopath.
Hey man,
This is why I fucks with
you
you.
gotta test the
Sage.
water every now.
This is why I
every now and
fucks
then.
with you.
So
Like,
she's a
I knew
grown
the
woman.
answer going into it. 'cause
She's
I-
a grown ass woman. You
Oh,
Yeah.
know that.
oh no, nigga. I've seen grown ass women act real damn childish.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not-
that's a
it's not
fact.
pretend now.
No,
It's not
I
pretend.
agree. I agree.
I have acted childish in front of at least JD and maybe Valen. And like they'll tell you my kind of childish is getting defensive about Jimby and getting really angry about Sanji.
That, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Accurate
Yes, she
as fuck,
does.
ladies and gentlemen.
Very angry about
No,
something.
and,
that
like
one
that
enough,
is it's not my anger. The probably angriest JD's ever seen me was about Sanji.
Oh yeah, I can
And
tell.
I'm-
That's why I was like, yo, we gotta talk. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, we gotta talk.
You gotta say some words.
Like I don't think that was an incredibly like problematic time for either of us. So like I don't know what to tell you because that was me passionate.
Right.
But yeah, I kind of
Like,
away from
the
all.
worst argument I've ever had with a man was when I was 16 because I was growing up and obviously that shit happens. And I told him and I gave him the goddamn look. And it's a look I learnt from my mum. And my mum is 5'2" and you obey the look.
And you obey
And,
the look.
Yeah, the look.
and I gave him the look and I said, because he was pissed as a fart drunk. And I said, you can leave my house or you can calm down. And I do not care which one it is. And so he had a good shout in the garden and then calmed down and went to bed. And
This
after
is the
that,
most
he went
British thing I've
teetotal for a few months because
That
he
was-
knew that I was never going to respect that shit ever again in my house.
Hell yes. Hell
That,
yes.
that was some black mom
That's
shit.
it. That's how I do shit. Like, that's my mum called me 3 times, left me 3 different messages on 3 different like social media channels because I didn't call her for 2 hours when I was getting on the train. Oh my
Jeez.
god.
Yeah. That's your
That's
mom giving
solid.
you a whooping and telling you to go to bed. That's basically what that was.
No, I was like, when like I answered the phone to call her, like I was like, "Hello, mother," and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, jeez."
Yeah.
my mum kills me with kindness, and it's really quite wonderful to watch.
Oh,
Did we
that's
answer old boy's question?
this actually
So-
brings me to another part of this. What role has family played in the quarantine for everybody?
I ain't spoken to none of them.
Fuck them niggas. Translated.
Not
That's
not
crazy.
through my choice. Let's put it that way.
Oh, they don't fuck with you.
I
'cause
sent
you ain't
messages.
shit.
Is everyone okay? Are you doing all right? Blah blah blah. None of them bother really replying much other than okay. I'm
So
like,
they're not taking advantage of the few time Mark is being nice. The
do you know what I
fools.
mean? It's very rare.
Take it where you can get it, fam. That's crazy. I'm listening when let's go.
All right,
I feel like
Jay?
we're talking this whole time.
Sorry, let.
Is this the family question?
Yeah, for
or
the family question.
I go to church every Wednesday and Sunday, so I'll see them regardless, no matter what. I'm always gonna see them 2 times a week. So I still keep in contact with them. I hang out with them on Sunday. So I would say mildly regular contact with them. So it's been fine, but overall they've kind of been a non-factor mainly in this quarantine since I'm home so much. I'm not really seeing much of them nearly much as I would, you know.
All right, and does that in its own, because like you said, you see your family pretty regularly. Does that separation now, like I know you still, like you said, have the Wednesdays and Sundays, but does the lack of the in between matter less or matter more? I should say.
Well, it hasn't really mattered just because I have a weird dynamic with my family and my parents. I love them dearly. They provided for me every single step of the way in every facet I could imagine. But there's a weird dynamic in African households where it's the closeness that you would normally feel in other families that you see around you is not the same because there's a lot more stricter guidelines. It's kind of just like there's always going to be a little gap between the understanding of someone who was born and raised in Africa and then, you know, a Christian African home, and then someone who was raised in the United States in a Christian African home where all their friends are doing one thing and they're living a completely different culture while you're forced to live another way. So you feel alienated, and then you find different types of escapes with the internet, and Xbox friends, and you know what I mean? YouTube, like there's always a reason why people are mainly going to be on the internet because they'll have certain disconnects. So as a result, I've built a weird distance, I'd say, between my family the moment I was able to actually be independent and discover everything that I wanted to and make my own choices. So the moment I left the home, it's been a little weird because now I'm not visiting like I thought I would visit, but I still see that it's like the times where I go to church is when I see them and I get to see them spend that time. But then afterwards, it's just like, all right, well, it's back to my own world again. I'm finally in my own world, and it's kind of like I just haven't bridged the gap of, okay, you can have your own world, but you can also spend time with your family because I'm pretty sure they miss you and they love you, even if the dynamic is a little weird. So it's been weird for me. I feel like I haven't taken advantage of that.
Yo, this nigga is spitting.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that open and honest,
like,
bro.
100%.
You remind me of like
Hey,
friends
you
I
might-
had that they came over during from Africa. They were like high school friends and stuff. And I'd be like, yo, you want to go like, you know, I smoke weed. Like, you want to go smoke after school or whatever? Like, it's on me. Don't worry about money. And they'd be like, I have homework. I have church. I have homework for this. They like, there's no time in their schedule for anything but being successful later in life.
That's African family parenthood. They hold it close to them. They keep it like that.
And
I've seen it.
when
many,
I was
many
a
friends
kid,
of mine have
oh,
that.
sorry. When I
Go
was a
on.
kid, I was like, I would go crazy. But now I'm an adult, and I'm like, man, imagine what I'd be if somebody gave a fuck about me like that much. You know what I mean? I love that shit.
Yeah.
Respect it.
African household discipline is next level because
All right, Sage.
they won't
and
say nothing. They won't say
Ash
nothing to
still
their
got
children,
a
but they'll say to their own
me
children,
forget.
"I wish you was more like him."
They don't
wouldn't
really
care.
take into
The parent-
account.
yeah.
They really don't take into account the mental health, funny enough, of
They don't.
the kids, you know
At
what I'm
all.
saying? And
They
what
do
that can
not.
do to you. If you're being compared constantly, bro, it's like you're stripping away that person's individuality and what they could be, and you know how the brain perceives being an individual. You know what I mean?
That's something I can particularly relate to, and I think is probably one of the biggest issues that I struggle with is the fact that no matter how hard I work or how much I might achieve something, I'm always going to compare myself to my peers and believe I'm not as good as them. I'm not doing as well as them in there. So it's like, even though in the home they're pushing you in the right direction, they're stifling your individuality to a point where when you're finally out there in the open, you have to go through the process that people say, like when you were 15 and 16 and you were figuring out your individuality. I had to learn the moment I got on college campus was like 21, 22. And I basically had to start as a 14, 15-year-old in college
Yeah.
and then grow. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like I have been struggling with so many experiences that so many other people that I've had for a long time. And I feel like I'm always playing catch up. And then that feeling of I'm always playing catch up really, really wounds your confidence to a degree where it's like people will see things in you that you just won't ever see until you taken the time and steps to grow to see this stuff within you. So it's like for me, I'm always chasing after something that I can't even see, and it really, it really, really.
I must be Lauren Hill because this motherfucker is singing my whole damn song.
Whole song, bro.
Like, because y'all know about me a bit. I'm a orphan, so I don't really come from anything. And the way he was speaking about you, when I finally got my freedom, I was still like, mentally, I wasn't where everybody else was. I didn't have those experiences. I didn't go to school like everybody else until I was already free. Like, I had to learn all that. So when he was speaking about it, I'm just like, there's so many ways that you can go down the same path. Like, and that's one of the moments in the quarantine we all got to understand. Like, regardless of whatever paths you take, this is the life we have. And everybody in it is in it with you, whether they like it or not. And people don't see it that way. A lot of people don't see it that way. But that shouldn't affect how you see other people. And me, I am guilty. You can ask Vulture. I'm one of the most negative people you can find. But I'll always preach positivity. All right? Don't get shit twisted. I'll get in my head and I downward spiral like a goddamn staircase. But I will always tell everybody that will listen the most positive thing I can think. It's not because even necessarily I feel it. It's because I know it to be true. You know what I mean? My wife is constantly telling me things. Ooh, sorry, Sage, what was that?
I'm just wondering something because like there's something that I've been talking to one of my therapists, one of my therapists,
5 of
about
them
recently. Oh, sorry, that was a scream, not words.
I forgot how language works a little bit.
Oopsie. No, yeah, I have a occupational therapist, a work rehabilitation therapist, a psychiatrist, a care coordinator, and a private therapist. Oh boy.
Oh, she's got the full deck.
Oh yeah.
Which ones are shiny?
That's somebody who takes their mental health seriously.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, yo, take the necessary orders to really like get some help for yourself.
100%. Like,
sometimes you don't know how fucked up you are.
I also go to a drop-in clinic every now and again normally, but obviously that's been closed because of Corona, which has made it quite difficult for me. Because I'm not able to see 4 of my 5 therapists or whatever I've just fucking listed off. Because, like, Corona. But I have phone calls with some of them now, and I have Skype with one of them. So I mean, it'll be right.
Have they imparted something like into you from the time that you've been from the time that you've been going to them? Have they given you tools to kind of self therapize yourself while this is going on? That's definitely not a word, but you know what I mean.
At the moment, one of them I'm still getting to know quite well to kind of start breaking down some of my more, because I'm quite ill, which means that when I talk, sometimes I'll say things you won't understand. And that doesn't mean that you don't understand. That means that I'm talking bullshit.
You're just British. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, easy.
And those things are things like my timelines and my fifth dimensional beings. And I find these things very hard to like let go of. But like for me, they're very, very real and very scary sometimes. And they cause me lots of anxiety and lots of mania and lots of depression.
Are you?
Because I have bipolar affective disorder, which is like bipolar but a bit schizophrenic. I find it so funny because it's just like, who am I? Me, a mental health sage. Because at this point, I have traversed the seas. I know the fuckery, and I'm just like,
It's the old angry man.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But like one thing that I wanted to talk to Val about just then was don't say the most positive thing. Sometimes the most positive swing of what somebody's saying, if they need reassurance, but certainly not the most positive thing. And the reason I say that, for me at least, is that can start to drain you just to come up with it when you're not feeling like that's how you feel. And sometimes the best thing to tell someone is how you feel.
Yeah.
So it's like if you always try to put a spin on it, you're kind of taken out of your reserves and shit, and you won't actually be able to like identify the
Does
fact that
anyone
okay,
not
it's fucked
hear
up.
Valen, or is it just me?
I can't hear him at all.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Oh shit.
No, I hit my button.
Oh.
That's
He
on me.
swallowed his
Okay.
words.
It's the Blue Yeti. It's that Blue Yeti. You forget there's 2 mute mics. Yeah, there's 2 of them.
That's wild.
Goddamn Yeti.
Came for trippity.
That boy
All right,
nonsense in
but
the chat.
real,
Shout out.
and before we continue too far, Marty, Ash, whatever you want to go by, well, how have your parents kind of helped you? I know the other day you got out to the farm and stuff to get away
Yeah.
from whatnot.
They've been really helpful, honestly. They like, I'll talk to him every now and then. See, I've always been a mama's boy. That's something that I'm gonna admit it 1,000 times over. I'm a mama's boy,
I'm there.
and so I got to talk to my mommy every now and then. But I got an Xbox just so I could play some Tom Clancy's The Division with my dad, and
Ooh.
it's really weird having my dad being better than me at a video game when it's usually the other way around.
I can handle it.
I don't know if I can.
Yo, I tried to have my dad
see.
play Call of Duty,
Like
and he couldn't figure out the motion of the actual body and the camera. He was like, he couldn't put it together. it was hilarious.
Well, he's like level 130 something. Here I am, level 7, just going along behind him as he's mowing down bodies. He's like, "You getting loot?" Like, mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope.
Okay, I cannot wait for that to be my life. You don't even know. Like,
Whooping your kid's ass
Yeah,
in a
right?
video game.
Like, nobody
scenes
even
just
plays
start getting
Apex
pissed.
anymore, Dad. Like, shut up, boy. Get on them bumpers. We
Don't-
putting in
Back
work.
in my
Don't make
day.
me bust out the 64.
Hey, we got
Exactly.
Loner in here.
Alright, you joke. But, oh, Luna? Nice.
Have no fear, the loners here.
Shannon, baby.
All right.
But what I was gonna say is, when I was little, my dad had to used to heal my Pokemon at the Pokemon Center because I had no idea how the fuck to do it. And he was like, "I don't know how you can play the rest of this game and not manage this bit, but okay." And and I don't know at this point either because it's just the button A. But like,
That is
Dad
an
just told
adorable
you to
fucking
get-
story.
but my
Your
dad
dad
never
told
showed
you
me
to
how
get
to
good.
use it. He just used to do it for me when I went in the building and never showed me. So I just
Never
went
taught a
like
man to
that.
fish.
Yeah,
Not-
literally.
You're not teaching me to fish,
You
Dad.
must
goddamn.
rely on me.
Nope.
Oh, dude.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
out of the bank.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's
no.
see.
So I'm used to my dad being better at thinking.
All right.
Especially
I've
the-
noticed the rise. Actually, this is something I wanted my wife here to talk about. It's the energetic healing, like the connectivity of it all. She won't be on camera because she's pregnant and doesn't feel like being on camera. But I know that she
Okay.
feels particularly strongly about this in a way that I could never do justice or explain. So I want her to put into the words how she feels. Is that fair?
Mhm.
All right, like, all like the energetic, like the resonance and the communal healing stuff. Try not to call it a bad name, but I'm trying to be here for it. So
Feel put on the
Man.
spot. Hi, everybody.
you are put on the spot.
What up? Beth?
Well, I mean, how about, does anybody know what he's talking about? Like, what
don't
does
know
that mean to
anything.
you when someone says energy healing or energy therapy?
To me,
When Goku asked for my
yeah,
energy,
like sharing chi
the
with
spirit
somebody
bomb.
rolling really good on a healing touch.
Healing
Alright.
touch.
Don't think I'm being rude, like hippie kind of crystals and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
rolling
Right.
around at the speed
Yeah,
of sound.
but like to me, that literally means me whacking out my moon water and my incense, cleansing a fucking bowl, and praying to my gods.
I thought
I
that was
don't
going
know what that
somewhere
means
else.
to other people, but that's what it means
Well,
to
thank
me.
you,
just a
Jesus.
normal day for you, surely.
I
Yeah,
thought that was going in
absolutely
a
is. You
whole
joke that
different
there's a
direction.
bottle of moon
Vulture, you
water
need
right
Jesus.
in front of me because we recently had a pink super moon.
Yeah, we did.
Classify
That's true.
energy healing is kind of like the vibe that you feel like you lost, that kind of exuberance that you used to put out when you're in a happy state.
Yeah.
You feel like you lost it, so then as a result, you're trying to get back to that state where you kind of radiated your natural, vibe and energy.
Yeah. Word.
Yeah, I think it's like you're trying to get back to that. Is that what you're trying to root to?
That's definitely a cool way to put it.
That's hot.
Studied it a long time. So there's like an energy body that we have, like an anatomy that's energetic. So we have different centers in us that spin at different vibrations that help correspond to different body functions and different emotions, and they're located at specific places in our spine, all the way from the back, like the tailbone, to the top of our head.
Are those chakras?
Yeah, chakras. It depends on what culture you're talking about, because it's either ki or chi or prana or whatever.
Everybody here see Naruto. Just stick with chakra.
Does Nen count?
Nen
Oh,
is
definitely.
totally when they started talking about Nen and Hunter x Hunter, I was like, they're doing energy.
They did the thing. I like it.
See the anime, the
Or
anime
gourmet,
that's
or
creeped out.
gourmet cells for utorical men. Utorical men and women.
So yeah, there's different therapies where you can have these centers worked on or released. Like you can work through the body, you can work through sound. Some people use transcendental meditations, which rituals help with. Ritual is a huge thing that a lot of people don't have in their lives, and that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of us don't feel grounded.
So does physical manipulation of those nodes, they do anything, or is it all got to be a physical, mental, or spiritual type
That's
of deal?
funny that you say that, because the physical manipulation is mental. It's all intention. Intention's the magic word. So you have to be present, and your intention has to be for that person, because energy is kind of funny, where if you are actively being a jerk about it, it will come back at you. It'll fuck up your life.
Karma. This is how karma, karma comes into play.
Yeah, so you don't really want to fuck around. But
you don't fuck with karma.
I hate to derail this conversation, but Valen brought up some shit the other day, and I'm still thinking about it. Can you tell a nigga about that stomach brain though?
Oh yeah.
I'm still on it.
Like how the mind and the body works through the gut.
Yeah, I think I got a gist of it yesterday because me and Valen was trying to pontificate about it. But, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I got the exact.
It's
je ne
so
sais quoi about it. You know what I mean?
It's a field that's exploding with information right now, which is kind of cool. It's changing every minute. But so what we do know is a gut biome is huge. Like the importance of the natural good bacteria, quote unquote, for what they do to help us with vitamins and minerals and how do we absorb them, and all that good stuff. And certain foods affect that. And a lot of the foods that we eat are processed, and they do nothing for our good bacteria. So, and that actually fucks with our brain.
Sage, what?
What do you mean by the food we eat? Does that include fresh? Is that still quite processed compared to what we should be eating?
Yeah, anything that comes out of a box. A lot of it. How much of your food during the week comes out of a box versus straight from produce or straight from the meat section?
Yeah, because
I only cook from fresh.
So you're so your gut biome's probably healthier than most. But are you also getting fermented foods, vegetables? Are you getting the right vitamins? One thing that is a reality that sucks is even if you have the best diet in the world, you might not be getting everything you need because everyone's particular body chemistry is different. So
you might need a lot more magnesium than other people, and you're just not getting it because you don't know, and then you don't.
And what medications
proper foods
you're on matters. Your body uses up different things to process medications, so you might end up deficient in certain ways that other people wouldn't think because of your history of medications.
Yeah, just like McDonald's food.
McDonald's food.
One of the things we were
Definitely.
talking about is the idea of like that gut feeling you have, the brain being able to process in a sensory way what you aren't capable of processing that your brain picks up. Like your brain picks
Yeah.
up the entirety of everything around you. You just have a narrow scope of like sensory perception that you can perceive from.
That's a really awesome way to bring it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's what I was trying to
have
get at.
a physical sensation that we can feel. We can feel chi, and that's you feeling chi. Like, when I was in massage school, we learned shiatsu. We spent a lot of time on it. And the stomach is the hara, which is the source of the body's chi. All of your meridians start and end at the hara, which is cool. And so.
I thought shiatsu was a type of dog.
God damn it. God damn it.
I was waiting for it. I was like, it's gonna be Marty if it's not gonna be me.
Nice.
Comedian here.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta
that
do it,
was
man.
definitely a running joke during the class too.
I kept looking between everybody, just like, who's gonna say it? Don't make me.
Someone's gonna say this shit.
So yeah,
So
it's real.
what
You can
Valen was
actually
telling me
feel.
yesterday that you could pick up like sensory information and it be processed through your stomach,
Yeah.
brain.
So,
But it was almost like the brain, the stomach's taking the information, just like the eyes taking information and then feed it to the brain.
totally.
That's doing the same thing. But
Yeah.
then the brain is then kicking it back down to the stomach to process that in a way maybe your other senses can't, in a way. Like something you can't see, smell, touch, or taste. Your gut's like, I know what the fuck that is. You need to leave, by the way. And shit like that. You need the fuck out of here. This is not a good place. And you don't know it, but I know it.
So energy
so
kind of
almost
works
like
a
that?
little differently. I feel like
Mm.
it's a different type of sensory perception. So
You explain the
it's,
process of how it works throughout your body. You know what I mean? So I can
that's a
understand.
little harder because we're still trying
All right,
to.
nobody here is in science class. All right, you could talk later about that kind of in-depthery. All right,
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
trying
It's about vibration, right?
Call it hockey.
It's funny because we already do it, and we all take it for granted. Like when someone walks into the room, and you can tell what mood they're in, you're picking that up because of their vibes that they're giving off from their body and your stomach and your heart. It's actually a lot more of the heart.
That's the electromagnetic field that your heart naturally gives off. This is a scientific fact. It's how if you've been friends with somebody for a really long time and you see them from really far away, even in a crowd, you're like, oh, that's my friend. He'll be over here in a second. And everybody's like, how could you have even known that? Like, that's my boy. I know who my friends are. Like, you know what I mean?
You actually have receptors in your heart that read that.
love.
Yeah.
It's all it is.
But
You know what's kind of interesting about that specific concept you mentioned, Valen, is that you can scientifically explain the connection that people will have in their heart. Then imagine if we go back to the whole topic about addictive COD and his issue with his girlfriend and how they wanted to stay friends.
as long as there's that proximity.
As long as there's proximity, there will always be that draw that makes you go back. And what happens is, and I'm talking from experience here, because this it's ruined my life. Like this ruined my life for like a couple of years. You will never let go of that person, and anytime you think about them, see them, you will lose a bit of yourself every time because you are sacrificing yourself and your own mental health to accommodate someone that's only going to deteriorate you more and more. So basically what's happening is the longer you stay friends with her and the longer that you don't cut her off when there's no future to be had, all you're going to do is hurt yourself because you're maintaining that draw that you have with her consistently, and you'll never let her go until you cut off that proximity that you have with her. There's no, in my personal opinion, there's no way to get over somebody without completely blocking them out of your life for an extended period of time. That's just
Especially when you've been with someone for a very long
Yeah.
time.
for a long time. Yes,
Because
I cannot stress that enough.
my theory
I don't
on
wanna
that
cry
is
today,
because your
Jesus.
Right,
wavelengths
isn't it?
become so, I don't want to say like identical, but they become so in sync. Like we think, like if women live together for long enough, their periods sync up. It's a natural
I
phenomenon.
was not just thinking about
That's a
that.
fact.
Crazy.
And the same thing
Also attracts
happens
bears.
is the same thing happens with everybody when they hang around other humans for long enough. That menstrual synchronicity is all part of the wavelength synchronicity that we all have. They just have a more physical manifestation.
So
That's
the
more
question we're all
immediate.
thinking about: can you read each other's minds if you stay around each other long enough? That is the real
Beth
question.
says she's read my. All right, so
I don't.
I was right. Your boy.
okay, just because
Boy.
she says something and I say differently doesn't make you right.
Nope. Beth said it. She was right.
She's the doctor. Oh, go with the doctor. I see
Go with the
how it
doctor.
is.
I think it's possible. I think it should be possible theoretically.
There we go.
But I think that a lot
gains
of us
here.
don't have that developed.
Oh, developed. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be really, really, really.
I definitely have that with my cows.
Yeah.
So you gotta like center yourself. You gotta be one with yourself first to fuck with other people.
Or sometimes people vibe, like a lot of times people who have bad relationships over and over again, they vibe with the trauma and the hurt, and so you'll vibe with who you vibe with, and you have to recognize that sometimes that's your energy that you're putting out too.
I can say that if all you know is pain, that's the only comfort you can find.
Exactly. And it's funny because then we go back to that whole scientific explanation of, the magnetic field that your heart will put out is when you get that same frequency from somebody else and you're always a negative person, those frequencies match and it's going to feel right, but it ultimately is going to be horrible for you.
And that's how people get into toxic relationships.
That's why it's important to. That's why people the whole cliche is work on yourself first, and then you'll find your true relationship. It's like, man, I don't want to hear all that. But then when you break it down to this degree, you realize, if I actually get better and I have a better outlook, more like-minded people will be attracted to me. I'm basically changing my frequency by improving myself.
You was listening to this terrible, staticky radio all your life, and you like, hey man, you drive by someone else that listens to that same radio station, ain't got shit on it, and you like, hey man, that dude's cool. Like, no, both of y'all are idiots.
He said, yo, that song, that's a banger.
Hey, hold on, fam.
He also watches that channel with the color bars.
Exactly.
Exactly why I stayed single for a while, because I knew if I was going straight into a relationship, it would be a catastrophe.
See, that's a lot of self-awareness that most people don't have.
Yeah, man. They only want the relationship. They don't realize that, you kind of cultivate what you bring into the relationship. And if you got all this baggage and you, like Mark said earlier, compartmentalize it, you got it on your back, they got that monkey on your back, that monkey is going to start tearing up your drapes and pissing everywhere because you ain't took care of them. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you got your stuff in order, like we were all just saying before. They put that monkey away, man. Put that monkey away.
I'm like Pandora's box, man. It's been opened. There's a lot of chaos.
I'm about to bring this down to a real sad level. I haven't really found a way to bring this up, but this is an incredibly important part of the quarantine that has been relatively, I don't want to say ignored, but it's been overshadowed by the consistency of the coronavirus.
Hey, let Soul in real quick, though. You've been trying to get in.
Where's okay? There he is.
I need to go, so.
Oh, Sage, wow.
All right.
I know.
Thank you. No, thanks for showing up at all. I appreciate you taking the time out. Would you like to say a couple words, and then I'll let Soul in?
The only thing I could ever really say to anyone is that it doesn't really matter if your path is up a mountain or down a hill. The thing is, it's your path and you go walk it.
There you go.
Like it.
I like it.
Respect it. Everybody hit that salute. Sage, thank you.
Sage, take care.
It's been good, man.
I want that sad anime story, damn it.
Later.
All right, Vulture. At some point.
You gotta earn that shit, all right?
That's true. Hey, I work for
Next
it.
time.
All right.
You're-
Peace out. And
Can y'all hear me?
1 second. Yeah, we got you.
Oh, okay.
That's so
Okay, because I was trying to
All right.
fix my audio on here.
And this is just a reminder to Soul specifically, because we know each other, all right? Remember to be fucking polite and respectful.
You son of a bitch.
I already sent them, and I sent the link before I said that. So you was invited.
Who's here now? Sorry.
But the thing I want to bring up is probably one of the, like I said, one of the topics that hasn't been addressed nearly enough in this whole thing. And it's one of the touchier topics to come out of this, and that's the suicide rate. There have been, like, I think one of the youngest I saw was like a 13-year-old girl. There's been just the age range. Suicide has always been a prevalent thing in any society. It sucks, especially in modern society where people feel like they don't matter. They're just a cog, this, that, and the third. But the a lot of the people are just being essentially called coronavirus. Like they just have coronavirus, not this is a suicide. You know what I mean? This is what happens when people are isolated for so long without the help they need. And there's no way of addressing that absolute need unless we actively talk about it. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And mental health is something that's so
It's very
fluid.
overlooked.
So fluid. Sorry, what was that?
It's very overlooked.
Yeah. It's so overlooked. It's so undervalued. Like, as long as you're breaking your back to support the capitalist, fucking regime and, doing what you need to do, there is genuinely very little care for you. You know what I mean? That's
a good point.
You know what I mean?
People think you're mindless worker bees. A lot of people just be like, yo, my parents endured it. You know what I'm saying? The people I know endured it. So who am I to try to cry out for help when they suffered for so many years?
Mhm.
It's almost like you're respecting the legacy of bad mental health, and it's almost a bad thing. Just like we talked about
It is.
before, like you get
It's
used to
absolutely that, because there's the stigma. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I grew up like even in the homes where it was mandatory. Like, they would just be like, I didn't talk to that bitch. I just sat there. You know what I mean? I mean, now as an adult, every kid said something. They're like fucking 6 to 10 years old. They said some shit. You know what I mean? Like, these are trained fucking professionals whose entire education is based around getting like this age group to speak. I'm not like, it's very rare that they're not going to succeed. But when you're a kid, you try to be obstinate because of the surroundings. I can only imagine like if it's like actual family members that are against it and things like that, the come up against it that you would have to even think about approaching mental health from an angle that isn't accepted by family or accepted by the community that you're in, this, that, and the third.
You got to follow suit, even if it hurts you, which is kind of crazy. It's just like they don't know that it's hurting you. Once again, there's things you don't know. So you think you're helping someone out, but you're actually enabling them to be a worse person. And that's like the exact opposite of your intent. But if you don't know any better, you're just, percolating that cycle.
And that's true too. I want to make
It's all bad in these streets.
Yeah, it's just.
Is Soul in here? Because I don't see him.
No, I sent him the link. He should show up when he gets here. I think he might have to download it, which is what's going on.
Oh, okay.
No.
Makes sense.
But
Sense.
Has anyone in this little chat had suicide in their families or any friends or anything?
During Corona, no. But in 2015, I lost. Shit, I think it was 15 altogether.
Straight suicide?
It was like 8 to suicide, 3 to fire, no, 2 to a fire, a couple were random, like, it was just the worst year of my entire life. Like,
yeah, man. Losing people close to you?
Yeah.
That's tough.
It was basically every bit of life I had from before where I was kind of, like, ripped away from me in 2015. It's really unfortunate. I've come a long way. I'm not really like sideways about it anymore because it's just life. You know what I mean? I've built the family I have now. I guess I just wish they could see where I'm at, because the person I was and the person I am are so astronomically different. I would like for them to meet the person that I am. And given that it's not a possibility, it hurts. And I think that the whole lack of possibility thing, especially right now with a lot of people, and they're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. The lack of possibilities add up. And if you're already a spiraling person who gives into the worst thoughts they have, gives into their own negativity, the negativity of those surrounding them, then all you see is just this black that keeps getting lower. And this is one of the reasons the suicide rate has like skyrocketed in the past month.
Yeah, because people go through a lot of valleys and a lot of dark places.
Yep.
And whenever you finally get out of those places, the people that was down there with you in the dirt and the mud, you kind of want to show them like, hey, I found this little bit of light. We've been in this dark for so long, but you can't show it to them because they're gone. They was swallowed by that darkness, and it's kind of hurt because you kind of, just like you want to give the people flowers so they can smell them. You can't do that, when they're gone. So it's like it hurts even more. But it's like you gotta look at that as like you're paying homage to those people who's down there with you, because you was like, hey, a lot of us was down here. Some of us made it out. This is just for my niggas who couldn't make it. So
pour one out.
I'm saying, You guys to, because a lot of people don't kind of they don't think about it like that. Like they think about it like it's just like it's a lost cause. This is a part of my life, or I'll never be able to rectify because those people are gone. It's like, nah, man. Just like everything is spirit and energy. It's like they might not be able to like cognitively process it, but it's like you doing well honors them, and that's all you need to what I'm saying, worry about. And then you can take all those good vibes with you as you continue to go up and be a little bit more successful in life. You might not be a billionaire, but success is success, and not a lot of people have any of it. So to scrounge up any amount of success that you can and make your little sandcastle, you should value that immensely.
What about you, Loner?
I don't know what it is. My stepdad, the guy who raised me from when I was a baby, basically, he was just stepping, basically. He killed himself when I was 15. And that shit has sat with me for 25 years. But it's that same thing that he went through. It wasn't so much mental anguish as he was suffering with alcohol problems and everything else with it. That has stopped me from going to the worst case scenario with my situation with my daughter for the last 2.5 years. Every time I went to that dark place, I thought about what he was dealing with and what he did in the end as his answer, basically, if you like. And that stopped me ever going any further than anything. I thought about it a couple of times. I ain't going to hold it back. I did. My mind kept going back there. And that's 25 years ago still. Because I'm an old fart compared to you lot.
No, man.
Grandpa.
I feel like I've been honest about my struggles with it. Like, I still, at least a handful of times a week, think, have suicidal ideation. Like, it's just, you can't live through the life I've had and, like, not question whether some of this pain is necessary. You know what I mean? That's just how it comes out. That's just how it washes out. I have so many reasons not to. You know what I mean? Don't ever get the wrong impression. Just because you think about something, you know what I mean, doesn't mean that that's where it's going to end up. I think about being a millionaire, but God knows money ain't falling out the ceiling, So I try to, all right, there he is. I try to keep that in perspective. I try to keep, I constantly live a low with peaks, and that I can admit influences the way that I come across to people. And despite the fact that I try to be a nice person and I'm genuinely an open person to whoever you are, my attitude, mannerisms, the things I say kind of sound like fuck you no matter how nice I'm being.
It'd be like that.
You know what I mean?
Good question, Balin. Good question. Do you think it's healthy to have really bad thoughts sometimes? To balance
I think
out the
you gotta
fact
have
that,
both.
Having good bets. Yeah.
Like, I think you gotta have both. I mean, you can't. The good is only as good as the bad, right? And the bad is only as bad as the good.
You can't always be happy, surely.
Yeah.
You can't always be, on the positive side of things.
Jay, look how happy he is.
Really quick. I want to give two people a chance to speak. First, of course, is going to be Loner. He's been in here the longest. Sorry, soul, but Loner hasn't had a chance to say shit.
No, my words. They're all my words.
And I wanna give him a chance to speak his truth, tell the people in the chat where he's at, and let out what he needs to let out, because he's here for a reason too. So I'm gonna open up the floor to Loner, and then it's gonna be to Soul, and then we can pick right back up. All right.
I mean, I was just kind of like just sitting and just hearing all the stories. I don't particularly have any suicide stories, but I did have people like that, like passed away, like such as like two brothers back to backs. So like currently, like with my health, past I had like therapist and everything, because I mean, like all my life I've had a well, I wouldn't say like all my life, but probably till like age 7 until till now, I developed a certain stuttering problem, and so going from like age 7 to where I couldn't even get anything out, to where I'm at now, like has been a progression, and you know, I've dealt with like you know, teasing and bullying and all sorts of stuff. So it's like I just the person like how I am, like I just kind of like you know look at it as like, oh, okay, I could either just lay down and just cry about it, or I can keep on improving on it. And so at times I gave up, and at other times like I tried. So it's like I just kind of go with the flow on everything. So like that's kind of where I'm at currently, like on the mental health note.
All right.
Hell yeah, man. I
Thank
went to
you for
speech
that.
class
Thank you
too.
for taking the time out. Sorry if me putting you in the spotlight like that caused any problems I didn't realize.
No. Like I was more just trying to uh hear the topic that I relate to. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
Hey,
Soul Fist.
I relate to that topic real quick because I definitely went to speech class too, and I stuttered like crazy. So I applaud your progress, sir, because it's very tough to say these words in these streets.
yeah.
No, for real. Like, you, people would rather everybody think they're perfect than anybody think they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And with that lies a lot of the issue we have now, because perfection is rewarded, realness is overlooked. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
so yeah.
Little baby steps should be
Mhm.
congratulated because that's how
Exactly.
you know
Right.
learn.
Now, Soul Fist, I know you got plenty to say. You always do, and I'm glad to hear it. Let's have it.
Say about what?
That's stuff. Mental health in general, basically. Any of the topics we've been talking about, how you feel about mental health, where's your mental health during this corona situation, and in life in
My
general.
mental health. Oh,
Yeah, man.
dude, that's
I know
that's
you're
a funny
perfect.
fucking story. Perfect. No, dude, I mean, well, yes, but no. You know, like I said, it's fucked up.
Mhm.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm probably at. It's interesting. I have. There's never been a state in my life where I felt as rational minded and I guess able to think clearly enough to process what I'm currently going through. But at the same time, I've never been hit by something that I'm currently going through that's made me this depressed. And I guess that's where I'm at. I'm at the state where I realize I'm depressed. I've been heavily depressed like the last like 3 months because well, my dad died at the beginning of February, and then a friend of mine shot himself in the head like about a week before that. So that put me on this downward spiral because I would just like go to work, and then come home and then drink and then fall asleep and then wake up and then drink and then go to work and then leave work early and then come home and then drink and then fall
Been
asleep.
there,
Yeah,
man.
it was like it wasn't good. That went on from about February until about 2 weeks ago. But then I was like, well, that's not good. What the fuck am I doing that? Because I've never felt like I like to drink. I never felt like I needed to drink, and I didn't like the way that had a grip on me. It felt possessive. I don't like possessive feelings. It reminded me of like the first time I fell in love, and I was like, well, I never want that shit to happen again because I don't like not having control over myself.
I mean,
So I'm being 100%.
that's something I
I'm
think
being
any
100%
dude can understand. Like that
To the
that first
bone.
love feeling where like she literally like you just suck a fart out of her ass like a bong hit. Like everything
Yeah,
she did was
I
perfect.
just I don't like not being in a state
Nicely
of
put, Valen.
control or possession, not having any control over the way I rationalize or do things. Like to the point where I say like when you would do shit you know you wouldn't do for anybody else for some reason. You know, it's stuff like that. But I didn't like the fact that I was going down a path like that. I didn't stop drinking. I just you know kind of just rearranged myself.
Let me
I don't
put that
really
out there
believe
now.
in. Yeah, I didn't stop drinking, but I just kind of rearranged myself because I don't really believe in. Not that I don't believe. I understand the benefits and I know how it works with certain people. It's just my self esteem's not low enough to where I need personal help. I don't need professional help. And the
Wait.
reason why I say that is because
You
I
talking
had
about therapy?
professional help. Yeah, and the reason why I say that is
Okay.
because I had professional help from when I was 12 to when I was 17. I didn't want it. My parents put me on it, but I've been in and out of chairs once a month. Come pick me up twice a month out of school, once a month at the office. Like I've done it. Like I understand the process and how it can help people. It doesn't work for me because I never needed anybody. Like I know that sounds arrogant and narcissistic as hell, but I mean, like you're talking to me, so it's just it's one of those things where I realized that acknowledging my behavior pattern was the first and only real step I needed to take. I didn't need somebody to tell me that. From that point on, I believe 100% in willpower, almost to the point where I worship willpower, and I believe in self-control entirely. So from this point, my mental health is focused on putting myself back on track to where I want to be, and I believe you can totally do that entirely on your own. I know everybody here might objectively disagree with me, but that's fine. You're entitled to believe that. It's just
So you believe that innately there's things that even the things you don't know that you don't know, you'll be able to, I guess, figure out on your own. There's no way to get
not in terms of
outside influence with
tutorship and mentorship. There's one thing being taught by somebody, is another thing being led and guided by someone. I don't need someone to figure out how to rearrange my mind. It's my mind. You don't know it better than me.
Why do you think they're trying to rearrange your mind? Aren't they trying to give you the tools so you can do that yourself?
Yeah, but I mean, I understand why some people need that. I'm just saying I don't. Like, because I've been through it. Like, I've been through the whole process. I've been through and I've had several different caseworkers and social workers and therapy. Well, I've had one therapist that entire time, but she assigned me different caseworkers, and I hated almost all of them except for Miss Header because none of them listen to you. They just read their fucking board and stuff. And
So kind of what Valen was saying earlier, like he was saying the exact same thing to where it's like he kind of understands the point of therapy and how it can be helpful, but the actual people who was therapizing him,
I don't want to
word.
say these people are bad at their job. That's not what I'm saying. It just for me, it doesn't work.
So no matter
because,
who it is, it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work because when it comes down to people have I guess to put it in simplest terms, if you think clinically, like people have personality traits, and let's say let's say one of them is agreeableness. I am a very disagreeable person. And to that point is, you can't get a disagreeable person to do what they don't want to do. If you can't propose it as some kind of deal or business towards them, something where they benefit from, they're just not going to fucking do it. And since I saw no benefit in the therapy, it was never going to work to begin with.
That's actually very true. Therapy is something you have to go into with the intent of letting it help you, or it's just you fighting somebody for like however long. Like, sorry, what, Jay?
I went along with the therapy for as long as I did, simply because I realized, well, hey, this me. Basically, my mom got tired of trying to beat out of me whatever she thought was wrong with me, and so she took me to get professional help. And it was like, yeah, well, you can't just keep fucking hitting them,
Been there.
The only benefit was when I turned 12 years old, I stopped getting fucking beat. So I was like, okay, cool, this is cool. I ride this out there, and I get out of school once a month and shit like that. Fuck it, let's go with it.
That was the business part of it. Like you definitely got some out of it, so you kind of kept going with it. I feel that. But what were we about to say, Jay? You about to say something?
I think the point about being disagreeable, so you're less likely to receive from someone that you never really wanted to see in the first place. I kind of understand that, and I, as someone who didn't seek professional help but sought the help of someone who knew me to my core, she played a massive role in my life because sometimes you can I'm someone who I will overanalyze myself to the point where I can convince myself I'm the worst person ever. I can do that. I've done it multiple times. It's not a very healthy thing.
Light word.
But when you get the perspective of someone who not only knows you, cares for you, but also has the, I don't want to say intellect, but has the awareness to pinpoint certain feelings coming out of you based on certain things you say, I feel like that's a lot more valuable than a professional therapist, because then you can't discredit their opinion because they know you. They've watched you for years. They know you. Like sometimes it's to the point where they can even read your mind. So when they point out things to you and they psychoanalyze you and point out things to you that you may not be aware of, and their opinion, let's say you trust their opinion already, so you're going to receive what they have to say regardless of whether you are agreeable or disagreeable. That's when I feel like therapy and communication with anyone in that space is important, because
and that's why a lot of people talk to their pastors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, see, with that statement, I actually really agree with what you're saying, but there are some instances, well, at least I've noticed, not from my experiences, but from my perception, Well, I guess it is experiences as well, but there'll be a lot of times I'm like, first off, I don't like telling people what to do. But if I ever get to the point when I have like a very few people I consider friends, when I tell them something, hey man, like I just don't like the fact that you do that, or I would advise against doing. A lot of the times when you do tell something like that, especially if you're the type of person who don't really tell them anything at all, they'll immediately perceive it as being attacked, and it's kind of hard to get to that point. So like I'm just recommending this based off my perception, and I assume you would like, I guess, respect my opinion to a certain extent. I'm not necessarily trying to tell you what to do, but it's kind of hard to have that conversation with somebody. That's why people go to professionals. Because, okay, I have a friend who was vastly overweight. I told him he was overweight. His parents told him he was overweight. A lot of people did. It wasn't until the girl that he's currently with, that he very much loves, told him, "Hey, I'm actually really afraid for your health." Then he started losing weight. So it didn't matter what the fuck anybody said until you know what I mean. Until that particular person said, because if not, he just felt attacked whenever you mentioned his weight. Which I get it.
Yeah.
How you feel about the person telling you the thing you're listening to greatly depends on whether you take that information to heart or not. It's just like meeting somebody on a train works a lot easier if you're both fucking pretty. Like if one person's pretty and one person's ugly, the chances of a meet cute
the world
are
is
low.
easier if you're pretty. That's just evolutionary biology.
That's
true.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just lucky we have mutual friends.
Hey, I was an awkward-looking kid. I had a big head. I got bullied a lot, but 100%, I would say no cap. 9 times out of 10, most of my bullies were females, not necessarily dudes. I got along with dudes because I could still talk to them about Dragon Ball and video games. But since I wasn't necessarily physically appealing, I got bullied by women a lot. It wasn't until I hit like 17, 18, 19 when I started growing into my body, and I realized that upon immediate reaction, just the way they react to me entirely changed. But my personality didn't change. The only thing changed is my outward appearance changed. So it's just like, the world is easier if you look better.
That and those people
that.
are going through a developmental stage in their life, and they might have been going through things, so it's easier to take it out on you, and you know what I'm saying, than anyone else, because it's like you grew up, but the people around you grew up, and the people you hung out with grew up. So not only did that,
I skipped across the country for the first about 15 years of my life. I didn't stay in one location for very long.
All you're saying, so it happened. Well, still, the people you're interacting with while that happened were still all
So I
of
started off
that
in
age.
New Orleans, then I went to Los Angeles, then I came to Houston because Hurricane Katrina and all that stuff. So I didn't. I never finished the 5th grade actually.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
wild.
I'm
They just
telling all the
stick you to
people,
6th grade?
you gonna finish some classes.
I just started 6. Like it was like, oh my god, a hurricane hit your city. Here's the 6th grade. I was like, cool. All right.
There's actually something I wanted to talk about when you mentioned that the world is easier for pretty people, and that brings up a really interesting thought that I've had. Right. So one, I believe you're 100% correct. Like I think that's indisputable.
It's literally an evolutionary fact.
It's an evolutionary fact. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, as someone who is not on the taller end of the spectrum, I deal with that disadvantage, especially as a man. Being a man and being 5'8", literally 5'8", 5'9". I tell myself I'm 5'9" for like spiritual confidence.
Well, see the way you.
It's what we have to do when we're 5'8", man.
Well, here's the thing. I don't mean to jump into your. I don't mean to like jump into it. I really want you to finish your point, but just the way you started that, you reminded me of a friend of mine who probably is about to say something very similar to what you're about to say. And he's 5'8", but please continue. I love this. Yeah.
No, so you mentioned about how you 100% believe in willpower, correct?
Yeah. And
I like that because I understand that there are people that do need help, but the importance of willpower for fighting through I don't want to say ailments, but like things you cannot control whatsoever. The importance of I feel like the shorter the worse end of the spectrum that you're on, the greater capacity you have for willpower to bridge those gaps, I believe. So for me, not being a tall, handsome black guy, who can play basketball or can dance or rap, or you know what I mean, and it's just like I'm in this bubble where it's just like, oh, you don't know the lingo well. You were born in England and you're African, but you live in an American society and you don't understand. It's like, and then on top of that, you can't really dance. You don't really have the swag. There's
do you have the gift of the gab?
The gab?
Gift of gab.
Can you talk your way
Something
out of
notably attributed to Irishmen.
I can talk my way. I can definitely talk my way out of things.
Because the thing is, like what you're going on, it's like the I don't know what the term is, so I just call it the Patrice O'Neal effect.
Bro, I love you. That's
He
my
would tell
nigga.
you straight up, man, I'm an ugly fat black man.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I
I've seen
pull
this, yeah.
hoes because I know how. I mean, because I just had to learn how to be charismatic. 'Cause
That's no
that was
okay.
the only thing I
That's-
had. Like,
that's where I was
he
going.
like,
So that's where I was going. Let me finish. That's where I'm going. All right. So I'm basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build like the whole, because this is a mental health stream and there's other people that will be in the same situation I'm in, and I'd want them to hear this because I've had to cope with it. I had to reach a conclusion that listen, if I'm never gonna be 6 foot, no matter how much I want to be 6 foot. All right, there's gonna
Say
be
it to the
There's
heavens.
episodes of South Park that might help you out with that.
Say it to
No,
the
I agree.
heavens,
No,
bro.
there is a certain
Bro,
there's a
those
certain
ball
like
knees.
closet. There's a certain closet of women that I will never have access to simply because.
100%.
So you have to accept those things. But what you can do is that you have things you can control. Now, what I always stress with people is you should always have this blueprint of the things that you want to improve in, and say if you're short, then you can compensate by look at your predecessors, look at people like Napoleon, look at people like
Spud Webb.
well, there's a lot of
Yeah.
short men
Yeah.
who are larger than life because they've mastered the art of projecting themselves as bigger men, and that all starts with the mental game, which is why it's beautiful, why mental health is so important, because not only can it save you, and it can make you big, it can make you bigger than what you were in the past. So like it's so important that even though you have so many of these disadvantages, that there are tools and there is history that shows that just because you weren't born on the right physical side of things doesn't mean that you can't make something of yourself. Because one, you can still work out. You can be 5'2",
Yeah.
but you can be stronger than someone who's 5.
Yeah.
You really could. You know, so then who's going to check you then? And then imagine if you add the charisma, your own little swag to it. You can be a stoic person, but you can have such a commanding presence based on your own posture and the way you walk.
Ooh,
That
ooh, ooh.
so
You could be
many
a
different
Charles
things you can
Manson.
affect.
So,
You know what I
can I
mean?
say something to that? I think everybody's obsessed with being the blue eyes. Some people got to realize you're the red eyes. So that
Mhm.
you may not have all the power, but you got a
Is
hell
that
of a lot
a
of
Yu-Gi-Oh
potential.
reference?
Yo,
Don't tell me he
you
made that.
man.
Yo, you really ain't got no shame, bro. I can't believe he did that.
He did
Oh,
that.
he
He
said
did it so
you may-
smooth too.
He said you may not be Seto Kaiba, but Joey wasn't bad either.
Hey,
Okay?
hey, you leave Joey out of this. You leave Joey out of this, damn it.
To be fair, the
point
Red
I was
Eyes
going
has
to
so
cross
many.
it-
The Red Eyes has so many banned cards now
No, that's
that
the
it is
point I was
it is
getting at.
surpassed Blue Eyes.
Like in
The Red Eyes
terms
is
of
raw.
lore. Hold on. In terms of what I was getting at, in terms of lore, the Blue Eyes is the dragon that represents power, and the Red Eyes represents potential. The Blue Eyes is innately powerful, but the Red Eyes has so many different forms and variations that he could become as powerful as the Blue Eyes. The point I was getting at is you might not start the game with the fucking full house, but if you play your cards right, by the time you get to the end of the game, you'll have a stacked deck. It's just people don't want to invest in their potential. How can I put this? We as people have the ability to see the future, and I don't mean in a literal sense, as in you see what happens next. Is what I'm saying is like since you can theorize, you can put into place a plan for something you want to have happen. To simply put, if you have a dirty garage, you can envision, you can see your clean garage. You just have to do. That's what work is. You just have to do the work to make the garage clean. You saw the future, you made it happen.
All right.
People
That's
spend very
tasty.
little time looking at themselves and trying to see what they are into the future, and then enacting the plan to move towards that. And they
People
should.
sometimes don't
They
see
should.
that. The sad thing is a lot of people see what they could be, but they don't think they're worth the effort because they have such a low opinion of themselves.
Literally.
So yeah, man, that's almost even worse. Like I actually don't know what's worse: not being able to see the potential in yourself to where you can go, or seeing
Oh,
it and
wow.
actually thinking that you can't get to that point.
Yeah.
Like
That's
knowing you
interesting.
can't
Now,
I've said
see,
this 100 times.
I've never
People
thought
get
about it
lost.
from that angle.
Yeah, man.
I've said this 100 times. People get lost in themselves, trying to live out
Well,
who they think they're supposed to be instead of ever touching or looking at the face of the person that they could be. You know what I mean? They
Well,
have
see,
this set
I've helped my
perception
ego
of
by replacing my
themselves.
mirror with a poster of Zac Efron, and my ego has never been more on point lately. Let me tell you.
Oh,
Zac
yeah.
Efron
Look
is
at
5'8". Zac
He's-
Efron
look,
is
look at
5'8".
this. He's like, whoa. He's the same height as me.
With him.
Same
It is
height.
Picture
I want people to
perfect.
know that.
Picture perfect.
Yeah,
Okay,
and he's
so
been
like,
playing a
you're
high
saying
school student for
5'8",
15 years,
You
so
know,
good for
That's
him.
what I'm saying.
5'8" is fine,
Hey, but
Jay.
hey,
It's
man, you know what's
fine.
crazy? It's all perception though, bro. Because like if you were to stand in front of The Rock, you would look like a midget compared to him. But like I was just watching some old Red City clips, and The Rock was standing next to Kane. That nigga looked so small. So you know,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
don't let it get, like I said, Zac Efron 5'8". Hoes love Zac Efron.
Love
what I
him.
mean?
Everybody.
I'm taller than John Cena.
No, I mean, it is fair
All right,
to say.
but when
mean,
I shook that man's hand, I felt like a tiny little baby bitch.
Yeah, that's
Like a tiniest little baby bitch.
I
Like,
was just like, yo, he is short, but he feels like he's 7 foot tall. Like I feel so overwhelmed by this dude.
like
bro.
I might have well
It's
have
that
just
hockey, bro.
I might as well shook his hand like this. Like, nice to meet you, sir. Like,
Hilarious.
I've met
but you know
Lou
what?
Ferrigno,
You know
and he's
what?
taller than
I'm gonna
me,
bring
and
this
he's more
up.
built than me.
Yeah,
Rey Mysterio Jr. All right, y'all want to talk about
Oh, hey,
potential
like-
and height
Oh,
meaning
wait a
this and
minute, hold
height
on, can
meaning
I
that.
guess I could say something really quick. In terms of the whole, because I know a lot of guys probably feel that way about the whole being 5'8" thing, and like I get it because
Oh, man, I'm 5'9",
evolutionary,
I'm good.
evolutionary, well, as like evolutionary speaking, I'm not trying to talk like from a state of like, oh, I guess
Yeah,
it's
he's
just I
like an inch
understand, 'cause
shorter than me.
I'm only like 6'1", so I'm not that much taller, but
Am I the
evolutionary
tallest in
speaking,
the stream?
yeah, I guess.
Let me
I
stop
guess the point I
slouching
wanted
and
to
get an
at is,
adjustment real quick. Let me.
I think every guy, whether it be your height or something, I think every guy knows what their faults are towards, I guess, attracting women. But for
Yeah.
some reason, maybe just me, but like we have almost no rational way to go about fixing it. You know
Wrong,
what I mean?
wrong. All right,
Okay,
let
I
somebody
guess- I
who's
guess
actually
my-
ugly say some things. All right,
Well,
this
hey,
pretty
hey,
ass JD
Well,
legend some bitch talking about ugly
so
people.
I get my example, my evidence. Hold on.
Alright.
So my argument for that, and it's a weak argument, but it's also weak evidence, I guess. So I'm gonna admit that it's pretty weak, but it's just like I know I cannot attract urban black women, and it's not from a matter of looks. They just want nothing to do with my personality. They don't like anime. They don't. If you talk about video games, they don't care. I just know that. Like I've lived it. I've experienced it. And for some reason, white and Hispanic girls really like black dudes.
Must be
So
nice.
so do you just roll with the punches, or do you try to go against what you repeatedly experience? Just doesn't fucking work.
I know, man. Just throw
Hey,
out that. Hey,
so-
puppy.
coming from a 5'4" man that looks like a 15-year-old, if you have the right sort of conversation, you can pull the chick you want.
She said you got to spit game to it, cuz.
All
Tell
right.
them niggas
Yeah,
wrong.
I'm
Well,
gonna
what
give
do you do?
everybody
But
here a
that's
secret.
a whole
We're
different.
going
Yeah,
into
no, that's
quarantine.
extreme, but I refuse to. do it.
Valen, I know you got something to say about this because you were about to say
All
something.
right.
I wanna-
Real quick, do you want to know what I used to do? I'll even say this. Beth heard it. She doesn't. It's not my most underhanded trick, but it almost never fails. All right.
Dirty
Almost never.
sometimes.
He's saying he has layers to his snake.
All
oil.
right. Yeah. No. When you look
It's
like
an
this,
onion, mate.
when you look like this, you gotta have layers because it's all onion, baby.
It's all onion under this motherfucker.
It makes everybody cry.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. The more of this I take off, the ungooder it gets. You know what? I'm just gonna. The less good it becomes.
No, I like that word.
I've been
But anyway,
told that I'm
here's what
telling
I
you,
used to
I'm
do.
chocolate boy.
Before obviously like I dress a particular way, but before I ever even did that, I figured out the way to a person, any person, and this works on people for the record, is to assault their senses in a way that they don't understand. And for me, when I used to hunt bitches, it used to be I would go out and I would smell like basically a fresh baked pie. It would be like apple cinnamon this or like cinnamon something or other that. I would smell like family memories, and everybody else around me would smell like a sea of douche car noir.
Jesus.
All right. So while she's talking to everybody else, she's thinking, "Oh, what's that? That smell is okay. That's obviously some chemical shit." But when she's around me, she's thinking, "Fuck it." Her mind is inundated with family memories, positive thoughts, great
Yeah,
things, simply
manipulation,
because.
mind control.
Yeah, it's smart shit. All right. I'm not
Yeah,
pretty.
it works. It really
I gotta
does
be
work.
smart.
And she started holding up pictures of her mom and shit every now and
Just
then.
remember her.
No, that's
Just-
when you just get the little spoon and wiggle in front of the face. It's like, look into the thing.
You get your little teacup and just
So-
fucking.
So this is actually I'm gonna get a little personal because what Valen is saying is I would say 5,000,000,000% correct. So for someone, you guys know like a little bit about like the stuff I've struggled with, comparisons, things of that nature, and a lot of my best friends they are at least either over 6 foot or they're really built. So I have a lot of womanizers that are my friends, and as someone who grew up in an African home, You couldn't go over to sleepovers, couldn't have a girlfriend, couldn't do any of this stuff. Basically, don't know how to talk to women, nothing, bro. You just don't know what you're doing, right?
You've been socially starved growing
Yeah,
up.
it's just ridiculous. It's just, I wish I could tell you how, I wish I could really tell you guys how bad it was, but I won't go there. But up to my 20s, I had no idea how to speak to women until I'd actually gone into an environment where there's multiple women that I have no choice but to talk to. And what you learn is from watching all of your friends. It's not that they're tall or they're handsome. That definitely helps. That gets them in the door. But
it can talk.
Securing the meal is all about what you do, how you talk, how you deliver it, and what Valen said is what you make them feel. What you make them feel about them. If you can impose your will and vibe on a woman to the point where they can identify, it's like, oh, I remember him because of that. If you're unpredictable and they can see images of you consistently in their mind because you're doing little things that's basically breaching all the little defenses that they have. Because there's a lot of simps out there, thirsty men that will do the same thing over and over again. But if you can differentiate yourself.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. My bad. So
go ahead.
No. Because you got to wrap that point up because it's so good. It's
I have a story after Sophis.
All right, it's gonna go Jay, Soul, then Vulture. All right.
Yeah.
If you can differentiate yourself to a point where you are presented as someone who is different based on your own whatever message that you're trying to send her. For Valen, he's like, I want you to look at me and see comfort. I want to go over to him. He's a lovable bear. Like, and Valen's probably like just, he's just reeling him in. And it's just like, there's many different styles that you do, but you have to be mindful and have intent in what you're trying to get, because you can't just give yourself to them and expect them to give themselves back to you. It's like you have to, it's weird, but it's like you have to present yourself in a way where they either accept it or they don't. And once they accept it, that's when you won. And that's something I had to learn. And you can't do that unless you're confident in the image that you want to project and you identify with it. So now it's natural. So whenever it happens, it's not that you're trying. It's like, he's just like that. I want to know. He intrigues me. Women always want to be entertained. The worst thing that you can do is bore a woman. That is the worst thing that you can do.
I mean, wait, hold on. Ooh, okay. Okay, so I wanna go with you on your original point of diversifying and because that very much ties into mental health. But you are not incorrect when you're saying the worst thing you could do is bore a woman. But I just hate how everybody has defaulted and accepted the fact that most of these hoes are boring as fuck.
Peace out, Silvers. Thanks for stopping by.
I mean, not all of them are boring, but
I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying there's been several times where I've been chilling perfectly fine, and then I get hit up. Hey, what you doing? Oh, I'm not doing nothing. Well, blah blah blah. What are you doing? Nothing. This. Okay. Well, blah blah blah. What are you? No. And they would offer no attempt to push the conversation forward, and then lambaste you because you're not entertaining them enough. I am nobody's fucking entertainment, and I think
this is a true disciple of Patrice O'Neal right here. Me and Soul have talked before, and this man,
I am nobody's fucking entertainment, and it's crazy how I just think, man, especially young men are too willing to give up everything and receive nothing. Because I understand there's not much you really want from females besides companionship, but they want a lot of shit from you, and we never ask them for anything back. So I just think, like, to say the order, like, it's the whole mantra, happy wife, happy life, that's sad and pathetic. If a woman told me to sleep on the couch, I tell her go sleep her ass on the couch. That, like, okay,
bars.
Conversely, back to your original point about diversify yourself. While that is true, while you should not be the entertainment leech for these emotional vampires that are these women out here, still you do need to create a personal profile for yourself. You still need to have a personality, because that ties to your own personal mental health. Do not try to be somebody else. Use other people to try to find out who you are. That is where you should go.
Now, what I wanted to stress is that if you're gonna present that, say, entertainment value, it is the best thing, and it's imperative for you to make that something that comes out of you naturally. So if you can deliver your personality as a package where it's like take it or leave it, then it's like now it's basically you put the ball in their court all the time. This is what you get. I'm an interesting person because I know who I am. Now, if you're either gonna take it or you're not, because you're not gonna make every shot you make.
Right.
That's
But you
exactly
definitely gonna make.
that's exactly what my wife has to live with.
Yeah, and you're gonna make some jump shots. That's really what it is. You're gonna make jump
So-
shots. You're
so
just
to
not gonna
speak-
make all of them.
To speak on what Jay was talking about, I actually have a pretty, you know what I'm saying, somewhat entertaining story about this. I was, you know, I don't know, a lot of people probably don't know this. I was previously married before. So I'm you know, already been through the game till some of its highest peaks and been shot right back down. But you know, how I got to that point, you know, how I picked up in the first place was in the bar. And that same thought was crossing my mind pretty much all night. If you want to talk to a girl, you can't bore her. And sometimes you need help. You can't just do it all on your own. You can, but if you want the high rate,
Yeah, you know, sometimes you do need help. Yeah.
you gotta enlist some, you know, some people in your corner. So I was quarterbacking that night, right? I had some of my friends with me. She came with her friends. I'm like, yo, since I came in the bar, I peeped it. I was like, all right, I can try to talk to her with a sea of her friends' eyes looking around me, almost like I'm some sort of comedian, and I'm kind of there entertaining them, which kind of puts you in a bad space because it's like, oh man, this pressure's on. So what do? You relieve that pressure. I got my friends to run interference for her friends, so I can just slide up in there.
Oh, that's a tactic.
Yeah,
That's
Jay Wolf,
Yeah,
right?
especially if they got
Real
fat,
quick,
ugly friends.
Jay
If they
Wolf in
got
the
fat-
chat spitting truth bombs the
Right.
size of planets. If you act like a jester, they will treat you like a
Valley,
jester.
that
That's
trick
right.
works as well. So what you should do in the initial stages, get to know them, get them interested, but walk away for a little while.
And see,
No,
I have
okay,
my
no,
own spin on
no,
that. Wait,
stop.
wait,
Oh,
so
no, no,
wait,
that-
so
no,
so
no.
wait, give me a minute.
Whoa,
Give me a
whoa!
minute.
Not
Give me a
everybody at
minute.
once.
Let me finish my story. Hold on, let me finish my story.
Vulture
So I
go,
feel
and then we
you.
got Mark, and then Soul. You can respond.
Because so I feel you on that. You don't want to do that, but well, not don't want to do that, but that's a way to do it. What the way I did it
It's a
was,
way. It's
I didn't
a way.
want to. Yeah, I didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to work on myself because I had, you know, self-esteem issues for a while. So I was like, yo, I can do this, but I can do it my way. So like I said, I had a lot of friends at the time. So I was like, use these guys. They want to talk to girls too. I'm kind of like the quarterback situation. If I could facilitate them talking to people, not only is this a win for me because they're distracting her friends, it's a win for them too because they possibly kind of got forced into meeting someone, you know, just to help me out. So they're doing their thing. I'm talking to her. I'm like, yo, I could sit up here, pitch my woo, try to make her feel good and all this, that, and the third. I'm like, yo, you can turn love into hate. And if you're a Patrice O'Neal fan, you know what that means and how effective that can be. So instead of me, you know what I'm saying, buttering up the whole time, I was giving a lot of back and forth. The first, like, I would say, like, the third sentence I said to her was like, yo, I like your hair, but you look really ethnic right now. And when I tell you that set her off for the rest of the night because she was like, this nigga just really say that to me. And I was saying stuff like that all like throughout the night. So I would say some crazy shit and I would say some, you know, some funny shit. And it's just kind of like, just like So was talking about earlier, she remembered me, or no, Jay was saying that. She remembered me and she actually was like looking for me around the base because I was in the military at that time. So she was actually looking for the dude who insulted her halfway through the night because it was just like, it was such a difference between all the other people.
It's the tank,
You know
bro.
what I'm saying? Bro, I'm telling you.
Remember,
That's
Bill.
it. Lasting impact.
Mark
That's
first,
what you
real
need.
quick. Sorry,
No,
I'm
no.
just trying
What
to keep
is
the order up.
mine's simple. He's right. It's just the lasting impact. You leave something there that they're gonna remember. They'll come back to you once you've done the right thing. Left
You
your
need
mark.
to make her laugh.
Plant
Yeah,
that seed.
nothing
It's
works
like
for
Seth
both.
Rogen.
Definitely. And you want to smoke with that geezer. Let's put it that way. That geezer makes me want to smoke. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Exactly. But yeah.
But that's
So
right, that's the
what
point.
were you
Sorry,
saying
Jay was
about
trying to
not
say
doing the
something.
walk away thing?
Well, I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm fully aware of how the fucking female mind works. I know it works because, like, one thing you gotta understand about women is that they're 3 times more sociable than we are. Like they meet more people than us because more people approach them than more people approach us. So if you're one of the hundreds of nice guys trying to talk to this girl, you're not interested in her because, well, what the fuck is being nice? She knows a lot of nice people who do shit for her. So you have to be someone interesting. Sometimes being interesting is, you know, playing
That's half
that
the
game
battle.
of right. The reason why I say don't do that is because a lot of dudes do that for females that offer absolutely. I ask a lot of dudes to literally stop and think, bro, what do you get out of it? And then the
That
answer always
what?
comes back to pussy. And I'm just like, it's just like, and when I'm saying this, like, you have to be the interesting one. You have to do this. You have to do that. But like they offer nothing in terms of their personality. So nothing about them has to change at all. Whenever I hear, so whenever I hear people say, "Oh, do whatever you can to change to attract them," no, bro, they should be attracted to you, or if not, kick fucking rocks and get gone. Like don't ever like that's just I don't know.
So can you say that
Vulture, real quick, let Jay go.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, my bad.
Just walk up to the group and say, any of you like anime or manga? No, fuck you then. See you later.
It's fucking my
It's not even about it. Look, it's not even about liking anime.
Well, let Jay get his piece in real quick. He was polite enough to wait, so let him get his piece.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that, but I would also stress that one of the best things that you can do when it comes to your interactions with the opposite sex, I would say, is one, don't change yourself to impress them, but basically there's always this notion I've heard is be about your purpose. So whatever it means is make yourself feel like the number one. Like make yourself feel as though you are the best thing since sliced bread, right? So it's just like, okay, I want to look good, so I go to the gym, right? Or it's like, I want to work out, I got a family, I got a job, so then you could do something like balanced Nuzlocke challenges, as fitness challenges, and just work out at the same time, build yourself up. And then what's going on is, as you're leveling up for your own personal goals, what's happening is women will look at that and they'll see this person is going here. So he's doing something like his future, there's going to be a story in his future. So I'm curious to see where he's going. So it gets to a point where now you're not even selling yourself out just to get women, but now it's at a point where the package that you're presenting is something you've cultivated for yourself.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. Like that's I guess that's kind of the point I was getting at. I was saying if you're interested in somebody and like off your genuine first interaction, they're not like. Don't kowtow and change yourself to it just don't do just drop it and move on. And the reason why I say just drop it and move on is because look, bro, there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's 4 billion of them. There's 3 billion of us. They outnumber us. What I'm saying is there's plenty of fucking pussy around. Like, don't get hung up over like if you don't match with somebody personality wise, you will run into another woman. I guarantee you, statistically, it's in your favor. It's like to devote so much of leveling up yourself to get women. No, you should do that for you. It should not be to get women. It should be for yourself. If you want to level up, level up. If you don't, don't. I've seen people who had nothing that had compassionate females that ride and died with them because it's a hard point to come across because it just goes to how different men and women are. I know I'm not just ignoring that men and women are vastly different. Like you'll find that financial success and mental competence aren't really deciding factors in male selection processes, but they're very high deciding factors in female selection processes. So like what the data shows is that like very few women are with men who are less financially successful and less intelligent than they are. As for guys, it's a wide spectrum. There are guys who are with very stupid women, you see what I'm saying? So I get that that's
girls
like
want a winner.
Yeah, and I get that. But what I'm saying is don't try to be that for them. If you want to be a winner, just be a fucking winner.
My wife is just sitting here smiling at me as we're talking, by the way.
what I was going to say to that, so I was saying that you were saying earlier that you get nothing from them by trying to kind of give out your best version of yourself. You're in the way
you do it for them, you don't get because what are they giving you?
But the way you got to think about it is it's almost like a stand-up comedian. Like Dave Chappelle will get nothing for going to the Laugh Factory and doing a free set because he's Dave Chappelle. He's already famous. You don't, do free sets. When people say if you're good at something, never do it for free. I don't particularly believe in that because you could be talking to a girl and you could be, doing the most for her to get her attention, but you're only building up how well you can articulate yourself to women in the future, to people around you and your peers and your superiors. Everything you do is building upon yourself. You know what I'm saying? You taking the shit has evolved from when you were 2, when you learned, till now. You know what I'm saying? You got the right motion. You know how much toilet tissue you need. Everything you do has a building process to it. Even, so you have to find the value in the things you do. So yeah, you don't want to solely do it just so you can impress the girl, but you got to realize if you do that, you're still getting something out of it because you're becoming a better quarter.
Well, that's true.
All right, this is
you
real
will
quick.
Improve upon yourself. But I was just saying, your goal should not be I want a woman, so I'm going to improve myself. No, improve yourself because you want to improve yourself.
But if you improve yourself, but if you improve yourself you improving yourself, you still did that, whether you did it or not. You know what I mean? Just like if you stab someone by
Well,
mistake,
it's the
you
whole
still stabbed.
mentality
It's
behind
the motivation,
something.
because you can
You know what
use
I
the
mean?
mental
Well,
game.
no. You gotta understand. It's really the mentality. Like most people really don't understand to how much, into how worshipped and glorified the ideal
Intentions are
female
powerful.
image.
Yeah.
No. The ideal female image has been presented to young men in almost every facet of storytelling, anything they've ever consumed, children books. Like most heroes in meta stories, at the end of outside of like Christ, because he's like a meta hero, he's a hero above heroes. So the most heroes, not for lack of a better word, have, I guess you would call, like a damsel or some type of female image that gives them a reason to be that powerful. You know what I mean? Like it's the same reason why Tom Sawyer, the second he saw the girl, whatever the fucking Huck and Finn, he jumped on the fence and started dancing, because it's ingrained into men to basically seek after and worship like female perfection. But what people don't understand is that doesn't fucking exist.
So did you read The Rational Male?
What's up?
Did you read The Rational Male?
No.
Oh, you read
what I'm saying? Well, I guess what I'm just saying is like most men chase the perfect woman. It doesn't exist. And when you chase the perfect woman, you realize you have to you realize they're people. And there are a lot of dudes who do not see women as people. And that's just like the only thing I speak on it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
See,
there is this mythical quality that has been given to females in the pursuit of them, in the sense that they are the end of this journey that we're after. They are the goal. They are the everything.
That's why there's a Lois Lane. That's why there's a fucking, you know what I mean? It's like.
But if you think about it from a human standpoint, isn't that true? Because without them, we wouldn't be here.
No, all right.
Because intrinsically, we know that we kind of need them in a way.
We wear pants now, and we shit in toilets. Like,
you said what?
We wear pants now, and we shit in toilets. The shit is still there, but how we go about it is very different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like deifying the female aspect in just the sense that this is the goal that all men should achieve because they have a vagina is incredibly flawed.
Yes,
and it is. It's incredible.
I wanna add on to that because I think what's important is Soul was trying to tell you, Vulture, that you, even if you improve for the sake of getting more women, you are now, as a result, your drive is fragile because your drive depends on the motivation of getting a woman. So what happens then if you improve yourself and then you have a terrible experience with a woman and then you go back to ground zero as a result, because the whole foundation that you had for improving was based on achieving these women. Now, if your foundation on improving yourself is based on you wanting to improve yourself, you have more resilience and ability to bounce back over and over and over again. And on top of that, women come along with it.
So it's like building your castle upon sand rather than stone.
Well, exactly, because everything has support pillars. If the sole pillar for your newfound support, as in you building yourself, is chicks, it'll crumble. It'll crumble incredibly fast. That's not nothing to build yourself on. I understand, like I said, because it's hard to not want to shoot for that. Because what is a prize better than a good woman? Like for guys, not much, right? Like.
Well, are you saying what is better as a prize than a woman for some people? Like what are some things to strive after other than women?
I mean, I understand it's like careers
for
and
life
stuff
or
like
what?
that. I mean, but like in long term, like you could
like
get a
having
car.
a house.
No, okay, I'll put it to you this way: you could get a car today,
uh-huh.
and you can meet somebody today. In 20 years, you still have that car, you still have that person. Which one's more important?
That depends on how your life functions at that point. If you are a DoorDash driver, that car is everything to you. If you have a family and you work from home, the wife is important to you because you got to get work done at home, or maybe she's taking care of the kids, or she's out.
A lot of men don't know what they want. When it comes to relationships, a lot of men don't know what they want from a relationship. They don't know what a healthy relationship normally is.
Because they never actually.
My wife actually made a point real quick.
Most guys don't really I asked a lot of guys, like, bro, what do you actually want out of your spouse? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Well, she's there. We hang out. She's cool. And I'm just like, okay, but what do you want from her? Because I guarantee if you ask her, there's a lot of shit she wants from you. What do you want from her?
But it also depends on
that's a destructive pattern, though. Because I'm just saying, like, if you don't want anything, if you want nothing, and you're giving everything up, it's just.
What if you want to give?
It can only end toxic. It can only end toxic.
But what if you want to give?
If you want to be a sole provider and that's what you want to do, and I want to be able to create an environment where, let's say, if you say out loud, like not even say out loud, you say, I want to be able to create an environment where I can have a wife and 2 kids and a dog, and when my kids are 20, they won't have to have jobs, and this is my goal. This is what I want to do in my life. This will make me happy, and I'm seeking. Well, that's what you want to do, and that's what you're doing. But most guys are just going out getting girlfriends.
Just because that's how other people do it. Yeah.
Just because they're not content with being.
They're not looking for the future. They're just looking for the time right there and now in front of them.
Well, sometimes you find yourself in your girlfriend. You find yourself in intense relationships with other people.
Somebody brought it to my attention that when we improve ourselves, it's not necessarily ourselves that we're improving, which obviously we are, but we're improving our vibrations into this world. And those vibrations, the better they're able to, vibrate and reverb and bounce off, the farther they go, and the more they'll be able to resonate with those around them and with the right people to look into it. And here is the legend, another legend himself, Dustin, my man. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you.
What's up, bro?
What's going on, man?
Sweet, we got another.
He's just talking about these house.
We got us another muscle on Paperboy in this chat.
It's funny you say that, but we're actually relating this to mental health because there are a lot of young men who are stuck in a loop of depression, a very dangerous loop of depression, because they feel that no matter what they have in their life, they don't have female admiration, or they don't have female interest. And so since they don't have that, they don't have anything because they spent their entire life idealizing female interest, and that's very dangerous. Because these people go down this spiral, and that's how you get school shooters and shit. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's we need to rework. Let me not say we need to do anything, but there should be a reworking to where we have people so less obsessed with these ideals that are really random based. You can make strides to be a better person, a more charismatic person, a more charming person, but you can't just get a girlfriend. Like, that's not how that works. You know what I mean? That's still the randomization process that you can't ignore in there. And so it's fuck it. You know what I mean? Like,
don't you feel like people have put or have things put in their lives that they have to kind of idolize in order to kind of get through? People kind of go to, I was saying like people almost find a reason to idolize something, whether it be video games, whether it be religion, or whether it be a girl. It's just there's things in society tells you to put in your life that you have to chase after with all your might, because if you don't have this, you know what I'm saying, you're not.
Okay, well, here's the difference between that, and that's a very valid point. But and that's a very valid point. But I would say the one difference from the way I say it, the sole difference is like if you idolize a goal or a thing, or like I said, this is the ideal you strive for. You want to be this, or one day you want to have this. One day I want to have an arcade room with a bunch of retro cabinets. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Since that is a thing and not a person, there is no reciprocation. It's sole possession.
Here, still saying soul before every fucking thing, and that's his name.
It's sole possession. So what's going on, man? Like, it's good to hear from you. But
that's interesting. So
when your ideal is a person, that's not possession, that's cooperation. So you can have that person as your ideal, but there's no guarantee that that person is going to line up with your ideals, or that they're even interested in your ideals to begin with. So you can find yourself along the path where you find this ideal person. It's fantastic, but then they're still going through their evolutionary process, and they change, and now what you are is no longer what they want, which is perfectly fine. You have every right for that. But now what you have sort of has now left. You have to go find it again because you're looking for something that doesn't exist. The ideal female. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't exist. Your game. No, it doesn't. Your fictitious game room can exist. No. There's a person you learn to love, but there's nobody perfect.
Nigga, he agreed with you, nigga.
That's why I said I agree with you.
He agreed with you.
I was wondering, I was like, why did he say no to me?
He just want to argue. Let him go.
He passionate. He don't be listening.
So when you have, like I said, if you want to.
Are you letting other niggas talk, nigga? Or you going on this passion?
He's been good. He's been way better than he normally is. I'll give him all that credit. He's been very good.
So that means he ain't been letting niggas talking.
It's me, Soul, and Jay yelling at each other, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, no. Well, well, we're yelling, but not at each other because
Oh,
we've been in a lot of
this is a
agreement.
joke.
You know what I mean? We've been
Shit,
like,
let me wear my beak, and I ain't gonna be here that long.
okay, yeah, by all
Yeah,
means,
yeah,
bro.
get
Like,
that- let Dustin
how do
get
you
his
feel
piece in.
about the relation towards, I guess,
You think about these
finding a
hoes.
partner to your own personal mental health? Do you think a partner is necessary for personal mental health, or is it something somebody should strive for, or is it
Mhm.
just one of those things that you should just let the dominoes fall where they lie?
I mean, regardless, unless you just like some rare go lucky person who just never experiences any inner turmoil within themselves, which is there's some people like that. To the day you live, to the day you die, you're gonna have problems mentally. That's just gonna be what it is. So it just depends on what you have in your life that adds to that or helps eases that. A partner can't ease it. A partner can add to it. They could do both at different times. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be able to have a foundation to go back to when you get like that, or when you feel like, you just off, or you don't feel well, or you know what I'm saying? You gotta have a foundation to go back to. Because if your foundation is your partner, what happens when your partner leaves? Because your partner can't leave, even if you think they won't. You know what I'm saying?
Jay was just saying that shit. Jay was just saying you can't build a foundation, on sand, just on a person that changes with time, rather than morals and guidelines and shit like that. So
yeah, exactly. So
big
if
facts.
It's very dangerous to do that, and I don't think people understand. I don't think they understand how dangerous it is to do that.
Well,
They
Well, I
don't
mean,
think
to
that
add
far.
to that, to add to that,
What's up,
even
Loner?
if you do like all of this was stuff, and say for instance, you meet your goal, and then your goal turns out, well, this ain't exactly what I wanted.
Never meet your heroes.
See, I
Ain't that the
remember a
truth?
comment from Will Smith. He said, "It's not my job to make her happy. It's my job to provide for the future, not to make her happy. She has to make herself happy to make it
100%.
balanced."
Don't be
Yep.
entertainment. They
Yeah.
listen. If they're calling you because they're bored, they have the problem. You see what I'm saying? Not you. It's not
Yeah.
Only
So-
boring
so
people
there's-
are
I agree with
bored.
that.
Remember
So-
that.
So, Valen, I wanna say this to you specifically because we just talked about. I'm gonna call them the snake tactics because I basically
I ain't pretty.
when it comes to it's not even about one. I'm gonna tell you. I don't know why you keep calling yourself ugly, but you need to stop. I'm just gonna tell you personally from my
Love
personal
yourself,
opinion,
man.
just stop. I don't want to hear that no more because you're not.
Hey, even if you are ugly, even if you are ugly, as long as your girl not, dude, what's the problem?
Man got a
Hey.
wife. Man got a wife. He got a wife who's a doctor and a kid. And I'm single. And I'm single, but he's calling himself. That's crazy. Crazy, ain't it? Right? Everything's different now, right? Nah,
Perspective, man.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's all different.
That's
Hey,
what I'm
I
saying.
know I outshot my coverage, and I thank the Lord every day.
Bro, listen,
right.
all right? If you average 20 points a game, you average 20 points a game. It don't matter if your jump shot's ugly. All right? That's not what I'm saying.
Sean Marion. Sean Marion.
Hall of Famer, okay? So it don't matter. But my point is, God, I lost my point. Damn it.
I hate
Oh,
when it happens.
I got it.
I think your point was I'm pretty. Like that's.
Yes,
That's what I got from it.
that. But then you
That's
said
what I was hearing.
You're mentioning that you shouldn't entertain them, but see, there's an evil side to it, right? There's an evil side to it, and I don't know if you guys have read The Art of Seduction. I've read that book, and when it comes to being entertaining, most men will use their ability to entertain a woman to bridge past the walls that they put up against other men, and they will make them fall in love as a result. It comes to a point where once you've gotten them in that state, you take a step back and they start chasing after you, and you no longer have to be the entertainers. Like, they have to entertain you, otherwise you go to other sources. So like, I'm just presenting to a point that there is, when it comes to the notion of game and the art of seduction, being an entertainer, even if that's not what you really are, is a tool that you can use to meet the ends that you're looking for. And you can use that as confidence, because it's not the fact that you're investing in the woman, it's the fact that you have the ability to entertain that will give you the confidence to do whatever.
Hey, this nigga motivational speaker.
But it's the truth. It's the truth. Because
you know what?
No, he's.
You know what?
No, I don't think he's not spitting. I'm just saying I can feel it.
Yo, wasn't that book like it was a fucking New York Times bestseller for like a long time, right?
Now, see, to that point, what you were saying, I gotta say, honestly, I agree with a lot what you're saying, but I guess the distinction I wanted to make would be, I guess my beef comes when I say don't be their entertainer. It's like, it's one. Imagine if you were to walk up to, let's say you were with somebody, your significant other, you just walk up to her and say, "Hey, be sexy." she probably took it back. It's like, what the fuck does that even mean? So it's
Yeah,
the
I'm
same
taking it
sense
back.
when- yeah, it's the same sense where like when women they do have the sense to do this, they'll
They'll
sense
tell
like
you to be
like
entertaining.
they'll basically in so short text you and basically say, hey, be funny right now. Well, that's not how that works.
Dance for me, you know.
You know what I mean? And that's
Mhm.
100% not how that works. Now, like I had the type of
But you
personality
know
where
why?
like,
You know why though?
oh yeah, what's up?
It's because of slavery. No, I'm playing.
Transcendental.
I was about to be like,
And there goes the
Oh,
demonetization.
All right, Bob Allen. We about to talk about some shit.
Oh Lord.
Oh,
Yep,
that's
Sean
funny.
Sean King just tweeted Valen's a racist. It's
Yep.
official now.
Over.
Oh, Sean King. I know it's really. Yep. You
It's
It's over you now,
That's in the
man.
house.
That is
Canceled 100%.
hilarious.
while there's
I think
a quick
sometimes though,
quick
sometimes, though, I
separation,
feel-
shout out to Hype Beast for showing up.
Oh, it was good. What's up, bro?
Hell yeah, Hype Beast.
Now, Dustin,
Valen,
continue,
what's up?
please.
I feel like
You about to say something, huh?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, bro, like at least with me, a nigga be like see a chick. Excuse my language. I'm gonna talk crass. I can't help it sometimes. But like a nigga see a chick sometimes, and nigga like, man, that chick fine. I don't want to fuck that chick. And like you do, like, and you trying to do what you can to like when your mentality is like, oh, I want to fuck that chick, and you moving in that mentality. And then the times that you do fuck that chick, most times you look at this shit like, who is this chick? You know what I'm saying? Or like it kind of value decreases afterwards, and like you kind of was viewing her in a different light before because you wanted to smash, but then after you smash, it's like the veil lifts. You know what I'm saying? You're like, who am I? You know? And
Real
then
talk.
but you might be my bad, but you might be in a whole relationship with this chick, and you be like, damn. And
No,
then
you'll be in a very
and then you be like, damn. And then you know what?
Yo,
Yeah, no,
can I
real
say
talk.
something about that real quick?
My
describe
wife
was a very
is like
dysfunctional
the
relationship.
only relationship I've had where she made me wait to get the lovinses. All right.
Oh man.
Right. And
That's
I'm
special.
And I've never. I'll speak on it. I've never had respect for a woman more, and it's not just because of that. It's like because the person I found out that she was when I wasn't just trying to smash, or rather just able to smash. You know what I mean? Like I found out the person that she was so much more worthwhile than the pussy that I knew she had. You know what I mean? Like that's what people.
Yeah,
need
that
to,
was
like,
aggressive,
wrap
right? I
their-
was like, damn.
That man is in his house. He in his house now.
He said that man in his house.
Said I say what I say.
Say
I
what
do
I
like
said.
my
The first half.
Dustin has said it's like what you just said reminded me of a very like dysfunctional relationship I was in about sometime last year with the chick I was at the last job I had, because it wasn't a real relationship, but like I got to the point where I was wondering myself like, well, why are you always in my apartment, right? And then I thought about it, well, because I want to smash. I was like, okay, well then when you're here, I don't want you to be here. So you kind of have to like realize that sometimes it's like you don't necessarily, you might be with a chick not because you want that chick, you just want a body around you, and it might just be,
That's true, too.
it might be that primal, it might be that instinctive. I just want like a fucking body, something to grab onto, something to do, and you'll tolerate with somebody you really should have no business tolerating. And for whatever reason, they're tolerating you too, or maybe they're feeding off you because they're parasitic or something like that.
And the person people understand, people that you gotta be careful about the people you invite into your life because they got a whole life, and everything that comes with their life can now then crash into your life. You don't know who they talk to, who they've been talking to, who not even talking about like romantically. I'm just saying you don't know what's their day-to-day life outside of when it's just you and them. And now you know what I'm saying, it can lead you to a whole different situation.
We were just talking about that shit earlier with the syncing up and shit with the heart and the stomach.
My wife would have never given me time of day if at that time that we happened to like cross paths in our world that like I wasn't like I was actively dressing better, getting myself through college, like I had my own house. Well, it was half a house, but whatever.
You had
know
the
what I mean?
sauce.
Like I was doing shit for myself, and the vibrations I was putting out were like just so much cleaner. Like just the chicks I was able to like get the attention of were way different than some of the like we'll say like 3 to 6s I was used to. All right,
Stepping up.
You got a range to it.
Chaos is
The-
a ladder, man.
The only thing I'd have to add to this is just because like of how I feel with Allie right now. It might be easier for me because we've known each other for 13 plus years. You get time to learn somebody within that amount of time.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
Marty.
Okay. Okay.
Only okay. You only get to talk if I can start talking again after you're done.
Right, but now to be fair though, to be fair,
Okay.
you can't pause
Okay.
for 2 seconds afterward because so gonna go in.
Yeah,
Pause.
you can't leave a pause.
Okay, my bad. Could you repeat that one more time to make sure I understood? Because it was such an interesting question, and it, could you?
You
Wait,
got too
you said,
excited and you forgot.
Damn. Yeah.
You
Right.
forgot.
Wait. Okay. So you said like how long?
Yeah, he said
Oh, can you repeat it?
We've known each other for 13 years on and
Right.
off. Like we've had time to get to know each other. It hasn't been until recently we finally decided to get serious and
How
finally
long
start.
have you been crushing on her though?
I have been crushing on her for about 14.
Okay. So the thing I was about to ask
That's
you
fine.
was like, okay, so
That's
you've
the
known
kid.
her for 13 years. Out of those 13 years, I would say like if you had to store a number, however arbitrarily, like how many hours a day do you say you probably would like? Do you work with this person? Have you been to the same schools or whatever? Or like you might see her a couple of times a month or a couple times a week? Like what's the frequency of contact? I would say
Like we talk daily.
pretty much
We
like
did.
sundown, maybe
Well,
not
that's
even
a trap.
sundown, but just like daily.
I mean, anytime that
Talking-
either one of
talking
us have
daily
an outside of a
Justin,
relationship.
why is that a trap?
Talking,
Okay,
bro, 'cause
so-
we
so
talk
let
daily.
me-
about
wait, hold on.
getting used
I
to it.
wanna
I mean,
be
she
100%
knows everything that's going on in my life. I know everything that's
I
going
want to
on
be
in her
100%
life.
It's a trap,
honest,
bro.
hold on.
It's a
Hold on,
trap.
I want to
I'm
be
telling you,
100%
it's a trap.
honest with you, homeboy. Like this is personal shit.
Trap, bro.
That could very well be a trap, but not necessarily in a negative sense. What I'm saying is like there was a chick I knew a couple of years ago who was literally I've never had more respect for a chick in my life. Like this is like the best one I ever had, and I caught these feelings for her, but that's because like I said, I would talk to her like every day for about the year that I known her. Like we would talk, if not text, or sun up to sundown. Like when I would leave work,
Trap.
she would fucking like call me because I had to walk home from work, and I live in Houston, so and there was no bus.
It's a
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. It would be shit like
Trap.
that. So like she would call me and she'd be like, oh well, I want to be on the phone with you while you're walking home so I can know you safe. So after like
Eight
6
bitches,
months of shit
man.
like that,
Evil, bro.
we would go to
They
the
evil.
movies on Saturday.
They
That's what I'm
evil,
saying.
bro.
Like
They
we
know
would go
what
to
to
the
do.
movies on Saturday. We would go out. We would eat some fast. We hung out a lot, a ridiculous amount of time. After a while, my perception was, I had no interest in this girl at first, but my perception was, damn, I think this chick might actually like silly me.
That's the
assume.
trap.
And-
That is the trap. That is the trap.
Can I please call timeout? Can I
Oh, go
please
ahead,
call
go ahead.
timeout?
I'm about to go in. nigga.
Tell me
No,
what's
okay,
the
wait.
difference between a girl doing that to you and us spitting this saucy game we do when we try to
No,
get
okay,
them?
but
Like,
here,
why,
but here's
like,
the-
why
this
is
the point-
either
no,
bad?
Hold on, no,
I'll
this
do
is what
that.
I'm getting at. Like the overall point of the story was like that was not her spitting game. Like I took it as that because that's what we do as men. We entice and because like basically when I approached her, like her long story short, like dude, like I like you, yes, but I don't like you. I just like you. You know what I mean? And I really did not fucking understand
What does that
makes
mean? No
It's like-
sense, bro.
What does that
That
mean?
makes
Like,
no
no,
sense,
but no,
man.
like, and
No,
no,
shit.
I'm
I like
about to
you,
explain.
I like you, but I don't like you.
Hold on. I'm about to
Throwing the trap flag out on this one.
Hold on,
like
I'm about to
this.
explain what she was saying because
That bitch is bored and she wants attention. That's what that was.
No,
That's
I'm about
exactly
to
what it
explain
is.
what she was saying because like for
Mhm.
a while I had this resentment because but like what I got from her was like, look, yes, I would go to you, I would share this information with you, you would give me this feedback, you would be there for me, but fundamentally there was never nothing she necessarily had to do, nor was it indicative of her romantic interest in me. Like I was literally just her friend.
Bro,
Now,
I
when
guarantee,
told her,
no, bro. But I guarantee you, if she would have seen you talking to like another chick would give you attention, she would have got like real
Well,
jealous.
Yeah, she would have. She would
potentially,
tried to get in
yes,
your
but
face.
now potentially,
Is
but,
that
like,
his
now,
fault or hers?
Hers.
No,
Now,
not
what I
the
told
last
her. No,
part,
hold
but
on.
him
Now, hold on.
assuming that she
Wait a minute,
she
Dustin.
liked
Like,
him.
Bro,
I don't want to like because I don't want to leave her name dirty. Like, so I had this conversation with her because we didn't speak for a while. But then like,
Oh,
I
she
explained
trapped
to
you
her, like,
good, nigga.
do you realize? Like, I asked, do you realize?
White knight?
Like I had to explain to her.
A little bit, yeah.
I had to explain to her, look, you shouldn't bring a dude lunch. You shouldn't call him after like 11 o'clock. You shouldn't go out with him on the weekends because he's going to take that as a sign of affection.
Nigga, is
And
this
then
the 60s?
She understood what I was saying. And when I broke it down, so she's like, well, I'm just, I like hanging out with you. Like, cool. But you have to really let that be known.
Even still, like, don't hang out with me
Yeah.
if you don't like me.
Well, because look, 'cause this is what I had to explain to him. Like, look, I'm a
Kinda-
dude.
wait,
Well, I had to explain to him.
wait,
Look,
come
I'm a
on.
dude.
That
People
ain't
don't-
toxic a little bit.
How?
It's
I want to talk about it.
It's
No, no,
that's
no.
self-care.
You-
That's
you
self-care.
no,
That's what that
no,
is. You
no.
taking care of your heart and yourself. I don't hear nothing about toxic. Okay.
This-
No, see, now I gotta talk because I'm upset. Okay. Because what happens
Jay,
is
let me
no,
defend
go
myself
I gotta.
afterwards. You
Okay,
gotta do it.
bro.
Go ahead.
Because I'm about
My
to go
bad.
crazy.
My
Go
bad.
ahead.
You was
You
on the
gotta say-
road, bro. You was on
No,
the
so
road.
my issue is that women are not stupid. We
At
keep
all.
thinking that they are innocent in what they're doing, and
It's a trick.
that's not the case. The case is that women are so much more perceptive than men, and they know what they're doing, and they know how certain things will affect you. So they will put this image, and Valen said this before. Women have this state of themselves that they will only show to you to make them seem like they are the ideal woman, and that you I am perfect. There's nothing wrong with me. I never want dick. No, it's cap. It's all cap because what they really are, you realize they're just as horny as you, they're just as grimy as you, and
Oh,
expect
yeah.
the game better than you. And the key as a man is to know the game. So what you
Well,
should
hold
never
on,
do-
wait a minute. I might want to
I
contend with
respect
that point
that.
you just
It's the
said right
truth.
there. With the fact where you said that women spit game better than men. I think what you mean to say is women manipulate better than men.
Yes, but that's
Or here's why I say that, because if you ask a woman what her idea
Game is just manipulation. Like
that's all it is.
No. This is the point I'm making. If you ask a woman what her idea of spitting game is, she would tell you her idea is going up, approaching, and then leaving signals or whatever, and letting it be known that she's available. If you
They
ask
don't have
her
another
what
option.
definition of game is,
Nah, bro. I'm gonna put it this way,
It's
right?
deeper than
Let me-
that.
No.
I'm gonna
Like,
have to
hold
pause-
on.
yeah,
Let me
say
wrap
something
my
real
point
quick.
up. Let me wrap my point up. Like,
Let hype
a
beast
lot of
talk
people
after.
like-
Women, we talk about women and we go crazy.
No,
That's what
like
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying,
That's
like
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying.
women, like
See how much power they have over us?
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
look, hold on. Let me just
part
wrap
of
my
the
point up.
game.
Like a lot of guys
I hate
idea
the game,
game
bro.
is going up, pulling a number, and getting a date or whatever. It's straight to the fucking point. It's like, hey, what's your name? What's up, shorty? I'm this
Not
person. Blah blah blah
necessarily
blah.
true.
Like
There's different types of game.
There's different
it
types
is.
of game, but
But
it's
see-
all ends the same,
But
and we
it
all
was
got to
different
initiate
types, but
it.
what I'm
look,
saying is like,
hold on. So because look, this is because I want to lose this, bro. Like, I hate the game though, because like I'm about to be 26, bro. I'm not trying to play no more games, bro. Like,
that's what I'm
You got
saying.
the
That's why you
energy
just
for it.
go up and you be direct.
so no, like even outside of that, like if you're telling me that, hey, like I'm living my life, I got my vision, I got shit that I'm trying to accomplish. If you coming into that and you trying to act like if you telling me, hey, I know you walk home at this time, I want to talk to you while you walk home. Why are you telling me that?
Why are you? I'm just spitting. No, keep spitting.
Why are you telling me? I said this on my stream before. Some of y'all made it seem. I was talking to this girl I used to like know back in the day.
You
We
want to
kinda,
make sure I got home safe.
nah, fuck that. Fuck that.
You
Fuck
can
that.
handle your own
And
stuff.
No,
we
because she
got
want attention. That's why.
yes.
I need to take, bro. I need notes. Well, I need a pencil.
Because I was talking to this girl recently, and we got back in contact, bro. And this is to soul point. Like you don't even be thinking like that, but they make you think like that.
Yes.
Right. So she followed me on IG. I hit her up and we talked and we kicked it. Like we had a good time. So I'm like, all right, cool. We caught up. All right, well, I'll see you when I see you. Let me know when your birthday is. Your birthday. I'm not expecting us to keep talking. Like we ain't talking years. Like we used to kick it like that back in the day. I'm like, we both grown people. She got a kid now and shit. Like I'm not expecting for this vibes to be the same that many years. You know, so I ain't thinking like that. So then she said, wait. Don't go. Here's my number, and text me anytime. I'll always respond to you. So I'm like, they hit me like different. I'm like, wait, what? So we started texting and all that. So she kept sending like different vibes, playing games on the phone, playing games on IG, her IG story and shit, putting shit out there that only I would know and shit. You gotta keep it like women will do shit. Women will do shit that you can't call them on. But y'all both know what that is.
You know what's going on.
You know what I'm saying?
Not plausible deniability.
Yeah, but you can't call them on. If you call them on, they're gonna make you have to hang, and you're gonna be like looking like a fool. But so no, hold on, I'm about to finish. So I told her, so I was like, all right, look, hey, I'm tired of these. I just hit her all. I'm tired of these games. I'm fucking with you. I don't know if you fuck like what's up. She, oh no, I just hit you because I would like not to on that. I was just trying to be friends. Like cool, we can do that. And then like the next day she hit me like, hey, I'm having a really good day, and I just thought that she should know that. I'm like, why the fuck do you think I should know that you're having a really great day? Like, why is it something that you just think I'm feeling great? He should know. Like,
So is that her trying to keep her in your mind?
Right.
But once I'm thinking past, in my day-to-day life, I'm only thinking like 1, 2, 1, 2, what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
If you playing games, you got me thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, nah. And I'm doing that more than once. And it's like, I don't know what you want. Like, all right, look, I don't know what you want, but I need to get back to what I'm on. So that's why I was like, look,
it's almost
just to interrupt real quick,
talking
it sounds
about
like what you're saying is that these people, their vibrations interrupt your vibrations. Y'all trying to find the same wavelength.
And you need to find somebody you harmonize with, not somebody that you need to find somebody you harmonize with, not somebody that you clash with, or somebody you try.
And I'm not going to be chasing you around and seeing what you want just for you to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, like we grown, bro. Like,
so you want a girl that has more of a symbiotic relationship with you, where it's give and take, rather than like a parasitic, to where it's like a fungus on something.
I want a woman.
No, hold on, wait a minute. You mean to say mutualistic? Because symbiotic can be a give and take, but a symbiotic is still one thing feeding off of something else, even if it is for the benefit of it. It's still to apply symbiotic means to apply something is feeding, as in something.
But if we're both feeding off each other, then it would be good.
No, that's not what symbiotic means. That's not what symbiotic means. That's a mutualistic means. That's a mutualistic relationship. There's a parasitic relationship, a symbiotic relationship. Like if you're like a fucking like a bottom feeder that attaches to a
Spider-Man
well,
fan should know this.
Off the well.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, like
no, but I'm saying though, they both got something from it, even though it's kind of evil.
No, because like I get what you're saying, but well, that's not even the point. But yeah.
So you always do that shit, and he know what you're saying, but he's gonna make you.
The reason why I do that because hold on, wait. I had this preface. The reason why I do that because language is important. It is not just.
But when he said asymbiotic, in my head I was like, I don't think that's exactly what that means, but I know what he means.
Where he's going. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
No. Wait. Because it's like okay. When you're trying to make it move over to mutualistic, that would kind of imply that we're equal on some kind of terms, and we give off equal amount of different stuff to each person. Just because it's 60-40 between two people doesn't mean it's not still helpful, because some people want to give 60.
It should be 100.
No. Okay,
I don't think you can give 100% to yourself to each to somebody, because you have to reserve certain parts for other things.
No,
so you
but
can
I
only
mean
give
100%.
Okay, no, this is what I meant by vulture. A symbiotic relationship would be if you had a wife who didn't work, and the literal definition. And the reason why I say that is because like. If you take, like, say, Peter Parker with Venom, right, the symbiote. I mean, just to explain it in the simplest terms, it was like it's symbiotic because even though the suit is giving Peter this power, the suit cannot live without a host. That's what makes it symbiotic. So like so Peter's really gaining nothing at the end of the day. This is all for the suit's survival.
He got stronger because of the
but it's all for the suit's survival.
No, what Soul is see what Soul is saying as a Cole Spider-Man fan. It's more of a collaboration partnership than just I give you this, I give you that.
I mean that's what happened. Peter Parker gave the symbiote suit the ability to have life and sustain.
I'm going to use a non-Spider-Man analogy, if I may.
Definitely, we're going way off the top.
Yeah. Like if I can pull this back a little bit from Spider-Man
right now, because
I guess.
So why are we arguing about asymbiotic, my nigga?
Because when it comes to having women in your life, if you look at it as a symbiotic relationship, you then understand that it's not just it's not just that fact.
Use a different word, Vulture. That still means what you're saying.
Y'all both gaining something from the relationship.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the word for that, but basically that sentiment is just that the fact that at the end of the day, it's a social contract, and it's like you still have to give and take, because that's how we kind of survive as a species. You know what I mean? Like that.
So Vulture, I've been wanting to add this context to what Dustin is saying, because I'm going to answer your question.
Thank you.
In my personal opinion, from what I've observed, you will not have that mutual give or take relationship that you want with a woman in the context of which Soul was just mentioning. And I'm going to tell you why. Women communicate indirectly. Men communicate directly.
Yeah.
So what all the instances that Dustin was mentioning is like, well, you know what she's saying, but you can't call her out on it, is because she's using indirect innuendos to communicate to you. We as men, we're very straightforward, we're very logical creatures. So we're gonna tell you exactly what it is. Yo, I like you, I want to smash, she's pretty, I'm gonna talk to her, all kinds of things like that. But with a woman, it's different. What she says to you may mean something to you linearly, but to her, it's a treat. There's multiple different things that she could be saying to you that you never pick up on because how she's perceiving this relationship is going is completely different to how you perceive it. And she's taking everything within context. So when she calls you and says, hey, I just wanted to call you to make sure you got home safe, she's indirectly communicating to you is that, hey, you're valuable to me. I want you to feel as though you are valuable to me. So therefore you are more reliant on me and my positive enforcement towards you. But you take that as, oh, she liked me. Oh, she's really interested in me. Like, I got a chance. And what's happening is,
do not take that way.
We don't take it that way. So we get trapped all the time. And women are cognitive enough to know that you will perceive it another way because she's dealt with that. She's done this repetitively with multiple different niggas, done it with their girlfriends all the time.
So
And
that's how. So intrinsically, that's how they are, and this is how we are. So is it necessarily bad that they're doing that? If every woman does that, is that the norm now?
It's not about that it's bad that you do it. It's that
every woman don't do it, but
not every woman does it. But
that's what I'm trying to say.
That's why the onus is on you to literally push it in what direction that you want it to go, and don't just follow along with her pace. Because if you follow along in her pace, you'll get caught up in the same situation that Dustin and Soul was talking about, which is why it's like people. That's why people say you need to have boundaries, because it's like, here, I'm letting you know I'm not here to be your friend. I find you attractive. I'm here to smash.
One of your little friends.
You have to, and the best way to communicate that is, again, communicate on her wavelength. Indirectly let her know. Listen, oh, you look good today. Or
damaged man,
your friend was
damaged man. You see that differently.
Well, no, hold on. See, I guess I'm gonna have to go mute for a second. So I guess that goes back to what I was saying earlier when you how you want to feel about it. That's why I say women don't have game. It's because they speak indirectly. What I'm saying about it is
that's game.
Women don't need
indirectly
game.
Is game.
Women don't need game.
Let me just I have to go mute for a second. But like what I'm saying is like my whole point is like if you think in the terms of an action. Committing to it and doing it, like hunting game. Like you see the deer, you get it the scope, you shoot it, you bam, you did it, you completed the task. Like guys, we're so direct in the sense that at least you should just go up and tell the female exactly what you want from her. But when they speak to us, they literally do not do that. Like I said, their idea of game, whether you could call it their game or not, but their idea of game is leaving hints.
Aren't they letting you
or
your game?
like, and it's just like, and what I'm saying, that behavior you should not allow them to do. You should just literally say what you want. Listen, I have friends. I have enough friends. I don't want no more friends. I'm not saying we can't be homies, but I don't even talk to my own friends every fucking day of the week.
Yes.
I'm not about to speak to
like
you
if we truly about to be friends, like I'm fit to handle you completely. Like I'm not gonna be talking to you.
I'm not gonna talk to you all day or ask how your day's doing. I'm like, yo, what's good? You trying to smoke? Bet. To keep it simple. Like it doesn't happen because if I'm not gonna text my boy every day, ask how his day's going. Like, oh, I was just thinking of you, bro. So like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't do that either.
But see, that's exactly why I said that's not having, because that's not condicative to positive results. Because it's not direct and it's not. You would either confuse the dude or you would lose the opportunity. Because I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, man, I dropped all these signs and he just didn't pick it up." Bitch, you said nothing. You did nothing.
But you say that they say that all the time. It's like I've already told them. You look at the text messages, they ain't tell them shit. They ain't tell them nothing. That's what I'm
saying. Like they don't have game because
I'm saying, but to speak about the game though, you gotta think about it like this. In your analogy with the hunter and the deer, you can't have two hunters. One of them has to be the deer, meaning
that's exactly my point.
No, wait, hunter. So God damn it, wait. So
I thought you had to go mute your mic in a second. That nigga be capping.
I'm going because I got to vacuum the car out, but
so for the deer, the hunter picks up on twig breaking, the dung that they leave behind, the sticks and shit they fuck up on the trees. Those are the signs, but you need those to hunt because you're a hunter. You can't hunt shit. The deer ain't gonna come up to you like, "Nigga, what's up with it? Run that shit." No, you have to find the deer.
That's true if we are in that mindset. But my thing that I be hoping for is like,
yeah, I'm not trying to play games.
Let's leave. Why either of us got to be the hunter or the prey? Why can't we just be two grown people who realize that there's a connection and let's explore that? We ain't got to jump right into a relationship. I know I'm idealistic. That's just not gonna happen. But I'm just saying, like, we ain't got to jump right into a relationship. But let's just say, hey, I like something about you. You like something about me.
Let's see what's going on.
Let's leave that. Let's put that out there and then.
But I
let's go.
understand, but there's a dance with everything that happens in life. No, wait.
Hey, Vulture, real quick. Vulture, everybody. We got a couple other people who may want to get some words in.
My own voice.
Valen, you the host, baby. That's what you gotta do. You gotta host it up.
That's what I'm saying. So I want to give first I want to give Hype a chance to say anything.
That's true. You've been chilling.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, dog.
There's no sound. No sound.
Turn on your mic, Hype.
He might have to leave and come back. That's what I had to do.
Oh.
He said he couldn't pick up my sound.
Give the man a chance, and he does this.
Man, we need a fucking girl in here to fucking give the other side.
Dude, I have been messaging ladies like we really need one of y'all in here, please.
What I want to know is how important
There we go.
finding a relationship to a female's mental health. I know it's very important to male mental health.
All right. I heard you, Hype.
All right.
Take one.
All right.
Shoot, I done lost my point so many times.
I know that feeling.
Are you talking about BDV? I was like, who the fuck is Hype?
Shoot, it's been a minute.
What up, man?
But nah, deadass for me, like Valley Vulture knows what I'm saying when I say this. Future farming, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to future farming, women do it. Women are the ones who do it the most because they see men that they like. And like, okay, I like this trait of this guy, but I also want this trait of this guy, so I'm gonna test it out. Who want to give me the most time?
That's also an evolutionary adaptation.
Yeah. Which tree gonna give me the most apples?
That's basically. If you're in a starting relationship, she gives you all the time in the world, right? But it starts trickling off little by little. Either she's losing interest, or she's also future farming. At that point, it's either you keep giving her attention, and then you look like basically you're not the best prospect at that time because you're giving too much.
Farmers on the pitch.
Yeah.
So you feel like at that point, a female should pretty much just let you know that you kind of fell off a little bit, and she's out in these streets, or
you gotta be perceptive, bro. You gotta pick up.
You gotta pick that up.
Like Dustin said, you gotta ask them, yo.
So in this situation, it's not okay to be direct. Before y'all wanted to be direct. What's going on?
Nigga, you got feelings, my nigga.
You gotta make your intent. I think it's more about you gotta make your intentions clear at the beginning.
You wanna know the secret?
There's gonna be a game that has to be played.
I've been listening to all y'all single people talk. So let me
be single.
Give us the keys, Valen.
All right. The keys come down to two things that everybody loves: cake and icing. Your life should be a cake, delicious in its own right. Anybody would love to have a piece, and you got enough to give to other people. But God damn it, if a little bit of frosting wouldn't make it a lot better, right? But you can't depend on the frosting to be delicious, baby. You got to be delicious in your own right. All right, so that's where the frosting comes in. The frosting is a relationship. You can be whatever you want to be as a cake. All right, but
as using food metaphors, man, I'm hungry.
That's what it is, man. It's cake and it's frosting. Your life has to be your own cake. You got to want to eat it. You got to be interested in it. You got to want to love that part of it. And frosting doesn't make a cake disgusting. It doesn't make a cake better. It just adds to the cake. All right, they're each two different things. Like me personally, I like the frosting on the corners. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like I like a lot of frosting on my cake. Some people like the middle pieces where it's just that thin layer.
Want a piece of mac and cheese?
I want to talk about that future farming because I want to look at it from the other side too. Like, because I feel like that chick that I feel like she was like, let's look at it from the girl perspective. Let's say a girl went through a relationship with a nigga she really believed in, and then he changed, turned out to not be shit. So now when she get into the looking for another nigga or get to that step, she wants to because we don't know how many teammates she got. She could be texting 5 of us, and we all interacting with her the same, and she can't. If you know what I'm saying, so she trying to. We looking at it like an evil witch over a cauldron.
That is literally what's happening, by the way.
But maybe she's like, okay, I don't want to just.
So I'm in one basket.
I don't want to go in all on one nigga and then he do the same shit this other nigga just did to me.
That is literally how they function. Like if you were talking to,
can you call that bad though?
No, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. But I'm saying like just acknowledge the fact that if you were talking to a female, there are at least 5 other dudes who would have got a number just like you did. I mean, every time she goes to the store or something, somebody's trying to get her. You know what I mean? You have to just internalize that.
My ego and my pride come in. Like I think like. I'm insecure, but when push comes to shove, I'm gonna be like, I'm that nigga. And if you don't realize that within like the first 10 seconds of meeting me, or like the couple of days, I'm being like facetious with 10 seconds. But if you don't know that, And
Well,
I'm
see,
not, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it.
I do you.
She
I
should
do
see
you
your
one
work
better.
for what
I
it
do you
is.
one better. I feel like no dude should put any effort into somebody who idea of attracting somebody they're interested into is like walking up to them, getting their attention, and walking away so they can chase after them. I chase nothing.
Like that J Rock song, stop chasing that bitch, kid, you get it back there. Stop!
Stop
Well, because it's so indirect. Like I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I like, or I don't know, man. I just can't tell you how many times. It's just so indirect. This is only. It's like it's not conductive to positive results. It can't be.
Conducive.
Like,
So if you don't chase and she don't
conducive,
chase,
yes.
how y'all gonna find each other?
No, because I'm not saying. I didn't say don't try
Hey
to.
man,
don't,
I want to be in
I'm not saying don't.
a grocery store buying milk and then we just vibe somehow.
Well, however it happens, I'm not saying don't accept somebody into your life if you meet someone, but I'm saying don't
put in too much effort. Like,
don't play that game with them because they're not that important. Bitches ain't shit. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean like they literally.
You mean that in a positive way? I understand.
Yeah, I mean
I understand.
I do mean that in a positive way. Like there's nothing. Like what I'm saying by that is like there's nothing like. I don't care how bad. I don't care how bad.
People ain't shit.
That's what I'm saying. But like,
you said bitches, nigga. Say people.
Niggas ain't shit either. But I know. Hold on. But I know I'm not shit. Every nigga in here knows he's not shit. But like, no, there's not a single dude talking. I'm a bad nigga. We don't believe that. Like we don't have these beliefs. So what I'm saying is like, there's far too many. There's too many of them out there with this belief that they're some kind of like golden treasure and. All their value comes based off how they look, and they offer no personality themselves, but still want to be chased. Why do you deserve to be chased?
But sometimes we gotta. That's what I'm saying. But we gotta put some of the onus on ourselves too, though, because we be wanting to. Like, I'm not saying everybody. I'm just speaking from me and people that relate to that.
Yeah.
And sometimes
you guys to think about like why do they chase females?
Sometimes we see the signs in a chick, but we be like, man, if I could just fuck, I can just bypass this, navigate these waters, just right. You know what I'm saying? I can put up with all this shit, and we gotta stop. We gotta get out of it.
That's a case of That's a case of adding the wrong frosting to ruin your cake.
That's purple icing.
That cake shit.
Dude, that shit works though. It's the truth. Like
it's hard to find that without going through that first. Like realizing that a person is kind of toxic and not for you. The only real way you can do that is if you somehow all your stats got put in perception and you can just see. You could just have future sight for some reason. You just know. Other times you gotta you have to like kind of go through it to realize.
But sometimes you experienced it sometimes, and then when you start dealing with other people afterwards, you start seeing a pattern. You're like, all right, I can jump ship here because I remember back in the other thing. I wish I would have jumped ship way back, but I didn't. So now I know I can like, all right.
But can you give everyone a chance though? Because if you jump ship before you actually put in the requisite effort to kind of get them to change,
you gotta establish your own personal.
But if you already bothering my mental to a certain degree, and we ain't even really rolled up our sleeves into this shit yet, then I need to go ahead and jump ship. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of a pre-screening.
Yeah, because it's like that's not good for me, and it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to interrupt, but Valen, your private talk is showing up on the stream. Oh, now it's gone.
Private, what's that?
It says private Zoom chat. It's showing up on the stream.
Well, I did not know that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. What's up?
Yo, Marty, I have a real quick question since we've been basically ignoring you this whole time. Us talking.
I mean,
about
I've just been sitting here listening to all of this. Just
it's all started because you liked a girl, Marty. Understand that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're in the process of a very long courting process. How does all this kind of affect you? Hearing us talk about every basic aspect of a relationship, like how do you feel about that, and how you're approaching it right now?
I see a very different, like very, very different field of view from you guys to me because I grew up watching Dad like woo my mom, and even though they were still together, but he still kept it fresh for her. He still like went out of his way to make her happy or smile every now and then. And
as you should take care of your woman.
That nigga said woo though.
If she deserves it.
Yo, I have no.
Yo, so she deserves it. Yo.
Well, yeah. Every time when he kissed her cheek, he's like, "I'm sorry about our son." And she's just, "Yeah, me too."
I never boy through and through, bro.
City boy.
Wait, what was that hype?
I said I've never.
Listen, being attractive is not enough to deserve courting. It's not.
It should be because in evolutionary, that's indicative of a good.
But that's not the
That's
time we live in,
indicative
though.
of a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like a
But
good
that's not the
bloodline
times
and all
we
that.
live in, though. You know what I
It's
mean?
not
That's
going to be the
like-
times we lived in, but we also got to remember we got to build off the
Oh, it
things
still
that
is.
happened in the past.
But you either find the girl that fate thinks you deserve, or you find the girl who you are destined to deserve.
Ain't the
What?
same thing.
Yeah, I was like, nigga, what?
Probably.
Yeah, like
Marty,
That's the
stop
best way I
drinking.
could put it.
If you don't stop drinking
I'm fine.
sangria before these streams, nigga.
Listen, I have an entirely different viewpoint.
Look,
than
all
that.
right,
Well,
the
not
Talking
entirely
Dragon
different,
says to
but,
keep drinking the Sangreen, so I'm going to keep drinking it.
my main viewpoint, I guess, is what I just feel like people should treat their romances like business relationships. You really should. Like,
he always be on this shit.
if there's no reciprocating, there's no reciprocity. Like there's no reason to be in it. Like I just there isn't.
Are you saying solely like a business or treat a business like to where there's aspects
Treat
of
it business
in
like.
it?
What I'm
Okay.
saying is like you should
You
definitely
looking heartless right now.
treat your partner. You should you should treat it business like you should treat it like you're interviewing them. What is dating but putting in an application to your time? Why should you be
that's true.
entitled and allowed to my time? Because you look good? Fuck out my face.
But at the same time, you said, you know, pretty people rule the world in so many words. So it's like that
What's
should
up?
be a
Wait,
major
say what?
factor in it, right? You saying
what?
like you saying like people that look good, kind of like, you know what I'm saying, get you in society. Or
But-
it's like,
but
it's
No,
not-
no, I mean
But
because
he-
you're easier
but-
to approach. But if I approach you and you look good, and you're as boring as white bread, and your personality is drier than paint, and you're kind of a bitch, and you're an asshole because you know you're attractive, so people would approach you nonstop. Then I don't really have no. Like, you're not shit, but you think you're hot shit. You ain't shit. You're a female. Like you're one of 4 billion.
That nigga been hurt.
he been dragged.
Yeah, dude.
Look,
Like, who scorned you? Who?
But hey, you need.
I'm gonna
perspective,
use
though.
this
The fact that he's
opportunity to
been hurt
pull
can
this
help a lot of
away
people.
from
Yeah,
this
let's move to the
particular
next
conversation,
subject.
and we're gonna move this along into
Somebody
what we
knows.
do,
We go for hours about
We
this.
spent
into
2
what
hours
we
on
do that helps our mental states, our self
half the
care
planet, so.
regimen, as it were. All right, the
I
things we
feel
do to help increase our vibrational presence in this world. All right.
Like I say, for me, it's a foundation. Like for me, my main foundation is God. I pray like every time I feel down, but also, I
You pray
keep,
when you happy too.
yeah, I do that too. I
Mhm.
keep things that to look forward to, whether it be like, all right, new chapter dropping this week, looking forward to that, or whether it be, all right, this new show that I like is coming out this day, look forward to that, or what, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm gonna finally be able to do this thing I've been wanting to do next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Just things to keep looking forward to, because if you keep looking, if you get too overwhelmed by your emotions and your thoughts, and you start your like narrow vision keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking to the point where you're just looking down. You know what I'm saying? You might start making some bad decisions off of how you feeling right then. But if you keeping yourself like something that anchor you pretty much and pull you back up when you getting low, whatever that could be. Some people is video games, some people is, you know, shows, some people is writing, some people is
Some
going
people
to the
is winning.
gym. You know, yeah, it's like whatever it is that anchor you. As long as it ain't no shit like liquor or, you know, drugs and, you know, some shit, you know, pussy, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've come across the realization recently. It's something new I've been attempting to do in my life, and I heard someone say it, and it kind of struck a chord with me. It resonated, but I'm not necessarily sure what practices I do, Valen, to answer your question, to keep myself mentally in check, because you know I feel the mind is too ever expanding and fluid to, I guess, map out a pathway to feel better. But I feel like a step that I take every day is to, if I can say, imagine the highest possible good you can achieve, and then take evolutionary steps every day towards that end goal, whatever it may be. And I guess whatever the highest possible good you can achieve would be, not necessarily in the terms of being morally good, just good for you. So like if you feel you want to travel and do this, you should find a job that can give you an income and allow you to travel. You know what I mean? Just like search for that good and then move towards it. But first you have to sit down there and figure out what the fuck it is. Because when you really think about it, you can have whatever the fuck you want. You just have to figure out what the fuck it is. Like what
You have
do
a
you want?
clear goal, an understanding of it, and how to achieve it.
That's what I'm saying about seeing the future. Once you
Best
see your
thing to do is
future,
write down steps
you move
that
towards it.
goal, and
So
then-
I guess what I do is to keep my mind is I look
Vision
at the
board.
future. I see the future and I move towards it.
All
Because
right.
if you stay in the present, you only be consumed by your past.
All right.
Yeah.
Super cool. I'm gonna head up to Jay.
It's almost like you're distracting yourself with like, but in a good way.
It's like giving yourself positive tasks to take care of. Like
Mhm.
I'm not saying like tasks and busy work, but it is high key busy work keep you mentally on track.
It will give you
Yeah.
something to live for, man. Like it
I'm
gives you
done.
something like.
You
All
can
right.
look back and say,
Jay,
"Hey, I
let-
did this or I accomplished this."
Let Jay get his piece in.
Oh, I'm just listening now. I'm kind of.
Oh,
I don't really have
well,
anything to
do you
say.
do
I'm
anything like that helps like your not just your mental health, but like your physical health? That thing that you feel helps and you're trying to level up in. You know what I mean? Like
So
Jay plays Monopoly in the bodega.
So-
like report this.
Real talk, I
yo,
miss
bro.
bodegas.
Yo, bodega. I don't know. I have only been in like 1 or 2 bodegas, but just the whole idea of a bodega really warms my spirit.
It should. They're the safest, most dangerous places on the planet.
Literally, that's literally what it
Always
is.
happy and angry at the same time.
Always, bro.
God damn it.
That nigga said it warms his spirit. That nigga, he's scary. You scary, man.
Makes
Nah,
you
but-
scary.
But,
Bodega warms his spirit.
All right, Mark. What do you
I
do?
would say.
You just skip JD.
I thought he just.
You had your bodega talk as money.
thought it was.
Oh, the bodega keeps you mentally.
Yeah, it's the bodega. The bodega is what keeps me up. Nah, but I was gonna say for me, one thing that I've definitely found solaces in is the better I feel physically. So the better I feel physically, the more I feel as though I am actively contributing to my own well-being and actively contributing to getting myself better. One time going to the gym is better than one time not going to the gym, and you've taken a choice to actually improve yourself. So when I go in that mindset and I go to the gym and I work out, I not only help myself physically, but mentally, I feel as though I'm growing every time I go to the gym. And I think that's very therapeutic for me. And that's kind of how I deal with a lot of my, I'm not going to say episodes, but a lot of, thoughts where I try to put myself down.
Would you say that physical stature is probably something you might have a problem with, or is it just?
Oh, we've already
one
talked about
metric?
this. We've already had this discussion.
It's not. Well,
I don't mean height.
I can't
like
control my height, like we mentioned, but
Yeah.
it's my physical stature is like I used to have issues with it before, and then I took the appropriate measures to fix that, and maintaining that and also getting better is like you can never work out too much. You know what I mean? It's just like you can never reach your actual peak physically because you can always improve on another part of your body, and if you stop, then your body will wane as a result. It's either forward or back. There's no stagnation with your body. That's one thing that I really.
It's a constant.
It's always it's always a constant.
Excuse my absence. I'm back now.
Hello now.
So it's just therapeutic. That's really what I'm gonna say, and it's like you have to maintain it. So it's something that's consistent.
So building your temple up is your thing.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
All right,
You
Mark,
have to
you're
be in
next.
there for the rest of your life. So
You British cunt, you still here?
Me, yeah.
Hunter, where are you, mate?
I'm here, just being quiet. What's
Well,
up?
you're up next. What do you do
The topic.
to help your mental state, physical state, help get you through this quarantine times?
Yells at people out his window. I guarantee it.
Get the fuck back in your house, you bastard!
Son of a bitch.
The stoop kid.
The stoop kid, yo. Hunter
I
stoop
I
kid.
wish I didn't have to go to work. Y'all some lucky
stoop.
motherfuckers.
Before I used to not really talk to people very often, but now since I've been doing a lot of these programs recently, I've been communicating with people, and that includes a lot of the guys in the community. I like to troll people on the community in Twitter. Dustin, you're one of them. Sorry. I have a laugh and a joke with people, and I never used to do that before. I don't hold things in like I used to with my emotional walls. I used to block people out and
Hey, trolling is
be a
norm.
bastard. Yeah, trolling was a nasty habit I have, and I'm a bastard for it. But I do it in a nice way. I don't mean to upset anyone with it. But
I don't know. It got me
years before,
Trolling is fun.
it's all right. Yeah, it has its perks, but
It does. It's quite enjoyable.
All
Well,
right.
I mean,
trolls me
not
about
necessarily
Sandy all the
trolling. Well, I like trolling not to be an
Angie
asshole. I just
trolls
like trolling to
themselves.
sit post. Like just like,
I do.
just shit posting is fun no matter how you look at it.
Hell yeah.
After Mark, I'm gonna let Ash go.
But yeah, no, basically I communicate, whereas before I didn't communicate as often as I used to. But now I've been learning to speak about things. I used to be a bit stubborn at first with the mental health thing. I used to be like,
Put it on everyone else. Blame everyone else. Don't take no responsibility for my own actions.
So
I used to
follow up
blame
to what you
everyone.
said, if I may,
Who was
is
saying
you
that?
found
Yeah, right.
like a lot of health and healing in the communal aspect of you know
Yeah.
Twitter and
Talking
stuff
to
like
people.
that.
No,
We're
it's
just
your mic, nigga. Yeah.
It's cold out there.
That shit was hilarious.
I can't help it, bro. That shit was too funny.
That nigga admit what he said, nigga. It's cold.
Bro.
Why would I go out? Why would I go out there?
10 toes down, nigga. It's cold.
All right,
Oh, man.
but all right, Ash, I guess it's your go. You still here?
Yep, I'm still here.
All right,
You can't get rid of me that easily.
there we go. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah,
So what
my
do you
bad.
do?
I had people talking in the background. It's cold as hell. So my bad.
Yeah, no, we heard it's cold,
The passion.
like cold as hell.
I usually just like to jump into the rec room game and just mess with people, just get them to laugh, doing Mr. Herbert or pretending to fall and just.
Oh, sweet Jesus, that was a bad snap. Somebody call the pharmacist.
Pharmacist.
That shit was like
Bro.
spot on impression.
Yeah, no, he
Bro,
does
I'm
really
telling
good.
Trust me, he gets into it.
You know what's funny? It reminds me of Ari Shafir. I was watching an interview with him the other day. That nigga impressions is wild too. Impression comedy is like kind of a lost art. There's only a few people that really do it and it's like into it like that.
It's because it's dangerous now. Like, just to go for a second off topic, not that we've never done that. But
we've been on point this whole time.
Yeah, it's so
You've actually
it's
maintained
dangerous to
the
do
topic of mental health.
impersonations. But
Yeah,
Copyrighted.
Which is
but
stupid, but
all right. Dustin, did you give yours?
Yeah,
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 that's
he
right,
was
God, and all that. Vulture, that's who it was. You're
Nigga say.
oh man. People with my mental health. I kind of retreat inside myself a lot of the time. I had a lot of issues communicating and kind of letting people know how I feel about things or how my brain works, because you know I question a lot of stuff. I don't understand. Like I like getting to the root of the issue, and a lot of people don't want to go that deep with a lot of stuff. You know, they passing by. Hey, how you doing? Well, transcendentally, if you look at the things around you, like nigga, I was just saying hey. So it's like I had to feel the room. Feel
You
like
one of them niggas? You like really like go into how you doing for that shit?
No. If I'm in a situation like this, to where it's like it's like a you know what I'm saying, like we already kind of set aside that hey, we're gonna be talking about stuff in depth and stuff like that. And it's like I wanted to get to that point because it's like I felt that on the inside, like I want to analyze this stuff because it's like I'm interested in get to the root of stuff, but I never could actually say it. Like I said before, I had stuttering problems.
My bad.
I wasn't.
Well, I was just gonna say, you're basically saying like you're like intellectually inquisitive, but you had troubles articulating yourself.
Yeah,
I
articulating.
hate this nigga.
And then thinking about the fact that the people
These
want
words
to
you
hear
just
what I
used.
want to say. Yeah, he does have.
Basically,
his pinky up right
you're
now.
just saying you're intellectually inquisitive. Nigga, shut the
What? No, I just like.
Nigga, you just wanted to flex right quick. You ain't even damn about what he was talking about.
Man,
I literally was listening to what he was saying.
after Vulture Loner, you're up, so be ready.
Hey, Valen, I gotta head out, bro. But thanks for having me.
Oh, hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for
All right,
sharing. Thanks
JD.
for being honest.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I respect you coming around, being honest, sharing your part of it. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, man. Really.
I appreciate that. You guys take care.
I hate Jay. I hate you though.
Why, bro? What's up? What you gotta say, dog?
I was about to leave in 2 minutes. You gonna steal my right? You like, yeah.
I'm just saying, I've been here longer. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You know, I pay my dues. But yeah, I gotta go. I'll catch y'all.
All right, bro. Later, man. But now back to me and my wonderfulness. All I was saying was kind of how I get, how I like cope with mental health is kind of like now is honestly like getting on YouTube and like talking to people in the community because like the vibes of different people can be a very powerful thing. Like I'm pretty sure it's from the Bible. I'm pretty sure, but life and death lies in the power of the tongue.
Yeah.
That's an overall, dope ass thing because it's just like you can talk yourself into and out of a lot of things. So, and words come from your brain. So if you think about a lot of things in a negative light, it's gonna come out negative. You're gonna feel negative. So it's like you got to find a way to take all the words that you want to say, find a way to articulate them, and then find a way to put a good spin on it. Because you can always put a bad spin on some shit. Sometimes you got to live in the badness, but you got to recognize that. You know what I'm saying? You got to put that kind of North Star somewhere. You can't just snuff it out, otherwise it's darkness everywhere. You gotta have a little bit of all right, shit really kind of sucks. I ain't got no foot, I done lost my girlfriend. I can't see that well, but then you got to find a way to like twist that and then work toward like a good, you know what I'm saying, I guess, resolution about the whole thing, because it's like,
yeah, that's a terrible ass example you gave though.
it's a terrible example, but some people live like that, and then they think,
yeah, you're right, but damn, I get them a pass though if they living like that. Like,
no, man, because if you submit to that shit, you just gonna be down there. So you have to find a way to make some light somewhere, bro. Because I'm telling you, people got it worse than that. So it's like, if they can find a way to not kill themselves or not like give up on life and just be a vegetable, then you can't say shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, you can, because it's like it's relative, but at the same time, it's like realize that it could be worse. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, man, yin and yang, basically. The way I get through mental health is realizing that you can make your own light in the darkness.
All right.
That's basically
respect that.
Some of it.
All right, Lona, you're up next. What do you do that helps you, feel better about yourself, about your surroundings during all this?
Well, honestly, like as I said in the past, I've had like a bad stuttering problem and all of that stuff, and so how I came across it, like I just have to didn't distract myself at times, but now, like I do music. I would either just talk to friends, social media, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So I've kind of like grown, to where, okay, I can't completely change how I am or cure how I am, but I can always improve on how I am. Yeah, so like, that was kind of my way of like coming into it and just change, like change your way of thinking.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, that's dope. A lot of introspection for me. It's been my family has helped me through all this. Obviously, like my wife is actually home. That's a big difference. Normally, like she's a doctor, so she works a lot. You know what I mean? So it's dope having her back. There's been some tumultuous times in that, like any relationship where you're like stuck up each other's butt for like a month. No matter how strong, no matter how good the relationship, you're probably going to get into some kind of fight. You know what I mean?
Can I get away with murder?
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Hey, that's when you need a good selection process. I want to be able to come home and say, "Hey, I got a dead body in the trunk. We need to go," and she can get up and move.
No, I mean like killing. Killing your spouse, nigga. Like she's like,
even worse.
Get upset with him.
Go ahead. I guess so saying that it should be to the point
some
where
Tiger King stuff.
Yeah, well, I want to be able to show up and say, "Hey, yo, man, like we gotta go, pack up, like we're not coming back here ever again." Like I just need that type of like.
So that's
Zoom is the shit, bro.
Zoom is fire, bro. No cutouts, bro. I love it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, how do you got so many people in this motherfucker, bro?
And dude, I could have like up to 100 people in here.
Oh wow! Sound like very like fun.
It is. It's worth it.
100 people, damn.
You just send the link out to them and they join in.
Be in there. Did you hit all the points you want to, Valen? I feel like we jumped over.
Well, you
so
can
many
never hit
topics.
all the points on mental health, though, man.
Well, no.
Well, I mean, all the ones you wrote down or whatever.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. We took a pretty far detour that I felt was kind of necessary for y'all. Like, because there is a lot of anxiety around that. Like, real talk, being able to go out and acquire pussy isn't groceries. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it can be though.
I mean,
you need a little bit more money.
I don't know.
There are states where that shit's legal. You can just pick up a 6-pack and a hoe and just go back home and have yourself a decent evening.
Some zigzags and a hussy.
Some zigzags and a hussy.
I feel like every guy needs to get to the point where they need to understand what they want. Do you want pussy or do you want a relationship? You know, and
Can I
feel
have
like a lot of
both for 300 at least?
Yeah, not for 300.
Well, no, because what I'm saying
That's
is
the
like
minimum?
for the guys who just
no
want
money.
pussy, there's no reason to form a relationship if all you want is pussy. It's a waste of the other person's time. You know, that's all I'm saying.
That's
Yeah.
facts. True. Because there's a person attached to that, and you have to take care of that too. Otherwise,
you
you
can find
piece of
somebody
shit.
who wants to fuck. Like if you realize you just
Hey,
wanna
Valen,
fuck,
this is your fault if we go for another hour because you brought this shit back up.
Exactly.
I'm already gonna be like, all right, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, and the reason I went into that is because the times that we're in have isolated us to the point where people, I'm not saying anybody here, have a legitimate fear that any skill they've gained in that arena has waned or diminished or somehow become less than it was. You know what I mean? So that's yeah, that's one of the reasons, you know, I let that go so much, just so like I wanted to explain that just a little bit. I felt it was healthy and necessary. But getting back to the reason we're here and like the quarantine and the mental health and the issues that come with that, we've spoken a lot about it. We've mentioned like the almost doubled rate of suicide. We've mentioned how little mental health is actually like respected and kind of put on the forefront in situations.
I mean, like just look at, he just sitting in the lobby or whatever.
This nigga so.
What?
Oh,
he's talking to somebody else. All right. Just this whole situation has shown that not only have we been isolated, but we've also realized how connected we were before. And I think in understanding and kind of analyzing the connection we had before all this crazy shit went down, we can find a lot of really good parts to grow from. The problem is most people are so stuck on the negative that that's really what they're going to come out of this with. Like, people have already kind of pushed this off as like, oh, it's just staying inside and drinking wine for a month, when that's not the case. People are dying. Politicians are selling off hundreds of millions of dollars of stocks that they never should have owned in the first place because for various shit. Like, there's so much stuff happening that people aren't paying attention to, that the virus, while fucking horrible, is being exasperated and turned into something more than it actually is for the sake of gain, rather than everybody. Like, you never get everybody on the same page. All right. Yeah. That's a universal truth. You know what I mean?
It's almost like those people who's trying to push for all the other things you get from the stimulus package, like all the politicians were lobbying to put extra stuff in the bill, and then they had to cancel it because it was just too much. And then the space in between where they had to like re-vote and all that, people needed help, and they could have got it earlier, but people were trying to get their own.
100%, bro. That's what blew my mind. Like, I hated the fact that they delayed it to try to listen. All you had to do was just release the bill and then fix it later. But
nigga, are you vacuuming your car?
I'm vacuuming. I'm detailing the car right now. Yeah.
Oh, so that's what that noise is.
I was wondering.
Get your
My
money,
bad.
baby.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I tried.
Yeah,
but
my bad.
it's just weird that they
He not being shit, but my bad though.
It's just weird that they when like I remember they declined that bill like the first time like 4 times or something. I remember the first was coming up and thinking like, well, I'm still going to work. So I'm gonna pay my rent, but at that point, people haven't worked for like 2 weeks. So it's like, why are you declining the bill? And it turns out all they did was add an extra $200 to it. I'm like, you guys are fighting over this when you should just be working together. This is no time to be like fucking partisan. I don't know.
They're being selfish. They're trying to get their own self-interest out there, and they were trying to think about it from like.
Hey, this is politics. I'm gonna hop out, Valor.
No, I understand. But no, this isn't politics. All right, this is people. More than any kind of politics. More than any kind of politics, because that's a whole different discussion. This is about
politics. I don't believe that 2-party system either, because that's bullshit.
Valen, I don't want to go off on a detour, but I really want to know what Saquon and Mr. Dustin are talking about at this very moment. What do you mean?
Oh my god, nigga!
Just like 3 seconds.
Because I don't
elevator pitch
on it. Because I don't vote. I don't vote. It's like, to me, it's to have a 2-party system is ridiculous. Like, you basically asking for division. You're basically asking for people to pick a side. I feel like there should only be one party. There should be like, hey, we a group. This is like we for everybody. But like, I don't know. It's so many layers. But I just feel like
that sounds like communism.
I mean, whatever you want to call it. Cause like, man, like I remember when I growing up, I heard about communism. I never knew exactly what it meant. Like when I was a kid, but it was just like such an evil reaction. Everybody say, you know, communism. Then I looked up what actually communism was. I'm like, bro, this shit don't sound evil.
Well, that's because did you look up the consequences of every communist society that has ever existed?
Yeah, I get that, but that's because a lot of people. I'm not. A lot of people. We are selfish as people, and like
no. Okay,
people fuck it up, not the
take,
system.
This will take way too long to defend.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to hop out.
Yeah, this isn't where we're trying to go right now. Let's pull this back. Let's pull this back. All right. I'm gonna blame that one. That one goes to Vulture. You feathered fiend.
Nah, it's Vulture and Soul. I get both.
Vulture and Soul. All right, you fiends. None of this, because this isn't about politics. All right.
Look at Dustin being a communist, giving it to everybody.
This is about people. All right. Regardless of what party you stand by, regardless of whatever, you know what I mean. We're all. Damn, I'm trying to keep this apolitical.
We all niggas. You know,
I'm not never saying that. You've given me plenty of cards. I've got all my melanin medals. But no, I'm never gonna.
The melanin medals.
I think BDB trying to say something.
Oh, hi.
And basically, like Valen's trying to say, like, I'm guessing, we should always look out for the betterment of everybody else, basically as people. But the selfish part of us is not going to do that because mentally, it's all about self-accommodation. It's not about how can I help this person out. What can I do to help this other person out? It's how can they help me? How me helping them is going to help push me forward.
Yeah, this is
is that inherently evil?
All right, mute your mic. So mute yourself.
Oh, you are. It can mute it, nigga.
But
that's how it should be, though. Like,
yeah, but I say at the end of the day, is that bad to want?
No,
to
it's not bad.
Look out for
at
yourself?
what point At what point are you entitled to my affection, compassion, or protection at all? Like, it's like you aren't. You know, that's up to me to decide to give to you.
But that's manipulation as well, though. Again.
But we also evolved.
There's an old African proverb.
Have we? Though?
All right, I'm gonna break this down. All right, old African proverb. If you want to go quick, go alone. If you want to go far, go with friends. All right, that's how it works. You as a person, you can do what you want to do and you can do it quickly. But the chances of you getting as far as if you had a like-minded community with you behind you, servicing that same goal, is not nearly as far. Like that's one of the facts of human nature. The reason we didn't get eaten by lions.
I could very much argue against that.
But sometimes you need people who aren't like-minded to let you know that the path that you may be on, that you were trying to get to quickly by yourself, now that you have people let you know that might not even be the path that you should have went down in the first place. Because you might think that that's the goal that you want to get to, and then someone else that has the knowledge of what that goal entails can help you from a lot of heartache. So you can't always say. You say what?
So you're saying don't be a Vegeta.
Basically. Because he had a totally different worldview and how things should be because of his race and the people that he was with, the like-minded sayings. But then, you know, he got around some other people that's like, oh, shit, I ain't got to blow up everything. You lying.
All right, Gavin, I'm a deal, bro. This conversation was dope as shit, though. I wish I had more time.
No, I appreciate you stopping by. I know you got a limited amount of time. I know you.
Yeah, I just had. I woke up, bro, and I got some good news, and I feel good. And I was like, man, let me check out.
Yeah, you want to share the good news? It's good news.
Nah, I don't.
No. All right.
All right. Never mind. Fuck us.
I figured that out.
Hey, I like that Gryffindor hoodie though. It's hot.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
I mean, I was Slytherin, so.
It's literally hot in California. I need to retire this shit for them.
Hey, you got dreads
I'm
too?
just
That shit must
glad
be
it ain't the
hurting.
Packers hoodie.
Oh,
I'm a hater. All right, y'all. Hey, I'll talk to y'all later, man.
All right, peace out, Dustin.
Man.
Thank you for stopping
Dustin,
by.
take care.
Later, man.
All right. How long has this been going anyway?
Since about 5 o'clock, innit? Well, for me, 5 o'clock.
My bad. I'm cleaning up this car, but can I just say, Val, when is the end of the stream?
It's about to be nowishly.
Okay, yeah, okay, hold on. I'm gonna finish doing my damn job, but to anybody who's interested, I can totally, after the stream is over, I can totally explain to you why communism is evil, and I could, it's an idea that's, it sounds pretty to compassionate intellectuals, but when you really understand what it means, it's just completely fucking evil. It's a seductive evil ideology. And after the stream, I would love to explain it to you.
All right, that will be for after this. We can definitely do that if you want, but For right now, I would like everybody to give their closing thoughts. You know, I'm gonna do it last.
I'll do mine first. I gotta vacuum this car.
Yeah.
Can I go
Wait,
first?
Valen, wait, bro. We ain't even hit all the topics, right? I thought you said you had a lot of topics. Do we have to end it now?
We've
Like
been
you have
talking
to
for
go?
3 hours.
So
Is anyone tired in the streets?
let's do a part two.
Well, I'm
Let's
gonna
end
have to
this
be getting
one
off
with-
my phone soon because it's gonna die eventually.
Not just that, but my kid's gonna be up and it's gonna be loud.
Ooh. Oh yeah, you do have life and shit.
He does have a life. He does have a
Crazy
life.
enough as it may seem.
Life
Comes from all the directions.
That's right. That is that.
Oh, speaking of the devil. All right.
You said closing statements?
Yeah, closing
was mine.
statements. Soul said he's gonna go first because he's got a work to do.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Soul.
No, so take it.
You're probably going now.
He's already doing it. All right,
Yep.
then.
Okay, yeah. So
Okay.
hold on. My closing statements is just, like at the end of the day, your happiness, your esteem of yourself, even though I don't really believe in self-esteem, but it for lack of a better term. The guiding point, the guiding star of your life should be you. It's not to say you can't build, let's say, a universe around that star, but the center of that universe needs to be you. Yourself should be paramount. That's the fundamental way I believe to maintain your own sanity. You cannot look for other. You can look for other people for comfort, but you can't look for them for a resolution of the problems that plague your mind. Like you have to help yourself. And I guess that's kind of like my own take on what I've been going through in life and how I feel about mental health as a whole. And socialism is evil. All right, I'm done.
Focus on your star, motherfucking plate. I understand.
Don't look outward for praise and approval. In that way lies madness.
This deep man right here. So
I didn't say those words, but I can't remember who did.
I'll go ahead and go get my statements because it's your boy.
He's a long-winded ass on out of here.
Yeah, you goddamn right. So this has been a dope ass stream. I'm very glad, not just for myself, but for my boy Valen, because he's been trying to get niggas up on that there Zoom for a minute now. And guess what happened? We had almost 9 people in here, 8, 9 people. We had some of the dopest conversations that you will hear in a long time. A lot of people don't want to get in that deep dive. A lot of people don't want to share shit about themselves and kind of be vulnerable to people that they technically haven't met. But when you just click with somebody on a mental and a spiritual level like that, you can do stuff like this and have these grandiose conversations. And that's why I like having people not necessarily like-minded as myself, because it's like if everyone's thinking like me, we're not thinking of nothing new. Because I know I have, I'm stuck in a few of my ways, and if I can like glean some intelligence from someone else, that'll help my mental health, overall, because it's like I can see different options and how to go about life. Because when you get kind of in this spiral of this is how life goes, and you don't have any examples of, the greater or the lesser, you can't appreciate where you are, because there's always someone doing worse than you, always someone doing better than you, and that's for a reason. So you can look up and look down and appreciate both of those things, because a lot of life is about balance. So if you can appreciate the differences in life and the peaks and valleys that you're gonna go through, and how to learn as much as you can from them, then you'll be a better, healthier person mentally and physically. So this has been Vulture Valley with my boy Cat and Valen and all my other niggas that I'm not gonna name because I'm already long-winded. And yeah, that's it.
Who's next?
You don't get no shine, Saquon. God damn it.
As a matter of fact, he's the next to shine. So eat a D.
Oh,
here we go.
Oh, socks out, Frank.
Shut up. It's you, bro.
Basically, what I like to say is this, right? Mental health wise, don't dish for other people, dealing with other people. For me, I'm a major introvert. I don't really like people at all. But somehow I end up with these gang of people here. And I tolerate them most of the time.
Why, thank you.
Man, the brutal honesty in that one.
I don't like people, so like snap happened, I wouldn't really be affected as long as it doesn't hurt the people I like.
Right.
But that's me thinking selfishly of other people, But the thing is, like, if you find people that you can mesh with, that keeps you on track. There's lots of times when I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this, or someone that could bounce ideas off of that's more progressive than you are, because you don't want to be sitting there and stuck in a rut, because I've been there, done that, and right now I'm on my way out of it, but it's a process, It's not something that you take, it's something that you take step by step. It's not going to happen just one step, So on that, most I can say is find a group of like-minded people to help you whenever shit goes down. And it doesn't have to be the best people, but people that are there. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for a group of people that you can really depend on. And on that, also find like a task or something to keep you busy, something to focus on, like moving forward. For me, I lost focus of the hoodie, the thing I was doing with Hunter. Hunter actually put me onto this, the hoodie stuff. And now I'm getting back on it. I've got to get back on it because I've been talking about doing it. I got to.
Fuck on my jacket.
I was a little sad I didn't get one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's gonna happen now. It's definitely happening now because I already started everything else.
I want a First Blood Randy hoodie. Goddamn it!
First Blood Randy.
I need that.
The authentic crew on it.
We need it, dude. The world needs it.
All right.
I love my clients right now. The thing that helps me out right now is basically I've been out of work since October until fucking about February. And so I'm just now getting back on my feet. So right now, the channel and everything might be a little buggy, but the thing is, between that time, October until January, these guys held me down. Like, there's things that they've done that I can't say that they wouldn't have my back for anything else, and I'll do the same for them. And I want to say in the stream right now, I appreciate all y'all. Even that little cunt Hunter.
The little ginger cunt.
That's all, but I love my guys. No homo. Some little bit of homo because I don't know, bouncing over there looking like a snack right now, but okay, it's cool.
That beard sitting just right.
You're the second person to tell me that today.
Like, man, you gotta smell them roses while you can.
That's all though.
All
But
right.
be on the lookout for the stuff I'm putting out there. I'll be putting more stuff out, like my hoodies and shit.
All right.
How's
Keep
that,
an
kids?
eye out for the hypest of hoodies from the beast of business. All right. So next up, we're gonna give it to Marty. Let's hear them closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts are pretty much just going to be a longer version of what I say at the end of my video. Just, love yourself. That's really just what this all boils down to. There's only one of you in this whole entire world. Shit, in our reality. And that makes you truly special.
That's some beautiful shit.
There you go. Hell yeah.
I feel special.
Hunter?
Boy, pretty much on what same thing BDV was just saying. Just make sure you're with the right group of people that stabilize you, that are there to listen to you when you're actually struggling. Because that's what some of you motherfuckers have been doing for me.
Hey.
I enjoy having our conversations. I know there's a massive time gap, but I would stay awake because I like hearing you motherfuckers sometimes.
I appreciate it.
He called us the
Like I
motherfucker,
said-
so we know he's sincere.
That's right.
I mean,
If I don't say
it's
motherfuckers, then
accurate
it ain't
for
no
me.
truth. But nah, that's it, man, for me, man. You guys have been great. So, and thanks to everyone that turned up to watch this as well, because there's quite a few people that did show up. It's gone back down a little bit.
Hell
but
yeah.
All right.
It's
Appreciate
the end
all
of it,
y'all.
So it's
Winding down.
Yeah, Madison and Ali, if you hear this at the very end, if you do catch it, you're a bum ass.
they're both got family stuff, so they couldn't make it.
Okay. Are we still live?
We're giving our
We in there.
almost. We're about to be done. It's Loner and then me.
Go for it, Lorna.
Tell 'em about
Okay.
the gun line,
Yeah.
boss.
Well, pretty much to touch on everybody's closing statements is pretty much like I don't have to reiterate. Everybody hit it on the head, and you know what? Just do whatever helps you, and like what Valen always says, like two shakes of a lamb's tail.
Goddamn right.
I do say that often.
That is a thing.
Got you down to a T.
Zodiac Summoner just subscribed. Thank you kindly.
Yeah, shout out to you.
Awesome.
You gonna bring us home? You gonna bring us home, Valen?
Yeah.
Please get this man bound to 1K. He deserves it.
I'd
Goddamn
like
right.
that.
Hell yeah,
That'd
he
be
does.
awesome.
That's a special man.
Oh man, that's a lot of me. But
You
Here
better
we
start
are.
providing more content.
Hey.
Hourly.
Hourly content.
Hourly, wow.
You know Big Tom had to come through.
No
Facts.
pressure.
All right. First and foremost, I just want to say we're all in this together, but we all deal with things differently. Being cooped up inside 4 walls or 16 walls is still being cooped up inside. You can't take for granted the things that you have, but you also have to learn to appreciate the things that you were given before all this happened. The life that you were allowed to have, the fun that, you were allowed to achieve just by virtue of going outside and, beyond your walls. We have to embrace the fear that we're feeling so that we understand it. So that when somebody does something in the future, we understand the fear that they're dealing with. And maybe we can be a little more compassionate. We need to see the strength of the people who are essential to our society, who are risking life and limb and health and wellness and the wellness of their families so that there's not more people dying. It's just the straight up truth of it. Right? Like, and it's not just nurses and people like that, like people who go fast food service. Like, I cannot understand how, I'm not going to get in on that. I'm not going to. But we have to understand that in the future, this has laid all of our problems bare, from physical health to mental health, from the way that we. All right, sorry.
I'm loving this. No, keep going. Go ahead, keep going.
The way that we relate to one another, to the way that corporations have abused us for years, the way they can drop prices, drop marks, drop whatever they want when they feel like it's good for their PR. But when this is all over, they're just going to go right back to abusing us. And are we going to let it? We spent a lot of time talking about relationships, and the relationship we have with our country has been shown to be incredibly toxic. As part of that relationship, we have a choice on whether or not to allow ourselves to be taken advantage of in the future, or if we're going to say, no, we've seen your true colors, and we need a change. All right, that is one of the beautiful aspects of this, of being torn down in such a way that we can see all these faults and we can see how to fix them. The problem is there will always be people who take advantage of these situations, whether in small ways, such as there's been an increase of home invasions and robberies and things like that, or
B&Es in Florida a lot.
Yep, B&Es and shit like that. There's been a huge uptick in that. All right, like to the point that it's crazy. You know what I mean? Safety has been relegated to a concept and enforced by not only public decree, as some people leaning out windows telling people to go back inside, but other people take shots into crowds to force, like, literally a little girl got shot in the leg because somebody took a shot into a crowd of people. Should that crowd of people been there? Probably not. Should that person have shot into that crowd? 100% not. You know what I mean? There's a difference in how we react, and we have to learn as a country that we are seeing the weakest of ourselves, and we have to choose whether we keep doing what we do, enforcing the strongest links and letting the weakest ones rot away, or if we're finally ready to turn America into the strongest country that it should be by enforcing the weakest of us so that they have the strength of most of us. But right now, we have to worry about our day-to-day. We have to worry about the start and the finish. We have to worry about putting food on the table. So all of that is secondary, and it's going to remain secondary, and then tertiary, and then it's not even going to be a thought, and life will go back to the status quo. This is how things work, and this is how it's going to go. My only hope is that we can take something out of this pandemic that's tangible enough to grow from, and that people are smart enough to not be so myopic and think beyond two party lines, or he said this or she said that, or Gwyneth Paltrow told me if I stick this crystal up my butt, I could get psychic powers. We need
So
to
you can
get
also smell what her
beyond
pussy
this.
smell like.
I don't want to know.
What that thing smell like.
But on that note, that's all I gotta say. You've
It smells
been
like the
with
Game
Captain
Girl bathwater.
Valen. You got the vagabonds, various vagabonds. You can.
So Hydra.
I got
As words spoken by Martin Luther Valen.
Martin Luther Valen.
Valen.
Martin Luther Valen.
Yeah. Facts.
There we go. So this is the end of it for us for now. We hope you return. I hope that you subscribe to everybody who's been here because they all deserve it. They all bore their hearts and their souls, and they were honest in a way that a lot of people don't have the courage to be in this day and age.
They're not ready for it
Not
yet.
me. I'm an asshole.
Except for
ready for true,
except for
genuine
Hunter,
free
because
thinkers.
fuck him. He's British.
He's British. That's
But
hilarious.
as you can hear, that's the sound of me having better things to take care of right now.
Yo, man.
I couldn't tell.
Oh yeah, suggest reading Kingdom. All right, I put that in there.
And
All
Berserk.
right, I'm going.
Wait,
buddy.
you're reading Kingdom?
No, I read
Oh,
it for
you
the
got him
chat.
started.
I read it for the chat. All right, I'm here for the chat.
That's just so much.
Marty, I sent you a message.
All right,
Oh, snaps.
and on that note, we are out of here. All right, say bye bye.
Here.
Say bye
Bye.
bye.
Oh, was he talking to me or to the kid?
I'm trying to get my son to say bye bye. All right,
Yeah.
bye bye. Say
You
bye.
seen it on Twitter, Hunter?
Yo, so
Bye-bye.
the stream's over now.
I'm here. I'll sit
All right, let me hit the button.